I'm Natalie.
And I'm Hannah. Welcome to the Stride Sisters podcast. On today's episode, it's time to get into our Princess Half Marathon Weekend 2025 race recap. Today, we'll cover the race component of this royal weekend, talking about the expo, 5K, 10K, and half marathon. Did we meet our race goals to cap off this season? Did we PR and fun? Tune in to hear all about the most glittery weekend of the year. So lace up your shoes and step into the magic with us.
Touch points of little tappies. Irish music is in the air. All of the green dye in the Midwest has now been purchased by Chicago for the river. Welcome to March. Skelly, our mascot of our household, which is a little skeleton I bought from Target, who is supposed to be an outside piece, but he was too cute and I didn't want him to blow away. So Skelly gets a new hat every season. And Skelly has a little Irish ball cap on now, like a little Irish hat for the season. I think I'm going to, once I stop running out of ideas, I'm going to start putting my marathon hats on him.
Aw. I think you can get quite a few creative. There's so many holidays.
There are. Do I want to go buy like an Easter hat for him? Maybe a bonnet.
Why do you have to put a hat on him? Why don't you just give him a basket and some eggs?
I don't have either of those either right now. That's true. I could get more creative. He didn't get anything for Valentine's Day. He wore his Christmas hat kind of long. So we finally
same. Red is just pink is just a shade of red.
Exactly. Skelly is he's kind of like, because he's giving a little thumbs up, and obviously he's a skeleton, so he looks dead inside. So we felt like it was a really good mascot for the O'Malley household.
Oh my gosh.
Which is what Mr. Natalie said. He's just, he's got a little axe in his hand too. Like he's on the staircase going upstairs. He's cute.
Yeah.
Big
Is
fan
this
of
just
Skelly.
the omen that's, coming with tax season?
Oh God. I have to talk to my tax guy. I am the tax guy. That's what every time Mr. Natalie's like, yeah, I have these tax things. I'm like, yep, we'll talk to the tax guy. AK, just put it on my desk and then I'll handle it.
Well, on to happier news. Do you have a training update post Princess? Have you done anything?
I have. I went on a run on Thursday. Yeah, Thursday morning. Yeah, I didn't run the morning after I got home. I went on a run on Thursday and that went well. And by the time you hear this, I will have gone on a nice walk because as my boss likes to tell me, I have this tendency to leave when the weather is absolutely terrible here and come back and it's nicer. So it's actually been quite nice here. There were some days of 60s. I believe, Sunday was up to 55. So nice and sunny. And, I brought this upon all of us. I brought nicer weather back with me from vacation. So, and happened to miss when it was like -1 is the high, or I left when -1 was the high. So
I'm just laughing because you said 55 is like warm for you, and it's going to be 55 today here in Atlanta, and it's the coldest day it's been in a while.
So you got that humid cold though. So I do not. It gets quite humid here, but the humid cold is not part of it where I'm excited for, it's shorts weather, baby.
Well, I have not gone for a run yet. I was you'll hear about it, how my half went, but it went well, and I was incredibly sore afterwards for a while. Until Thursday, as you said, probably would have been the first day I would have been comfortable going for a run. But as we talked about pre-recording, my Thursday/Wednesday night was incredibly chaotic. Wednesday night for work, I had to work like full day. Then we had a production push where we update an application at my job at night when users aren't using it. And that went from about 9 until 3 a.m. So Thursday was completely non-functional. And then they gave us the day off on Friday. So I just fully went with it. So I'm going to go for my first run today post recording and get back into the schedule. And really, I'm just really excited to like fully commit to my sculpt and soar with Kristen, and just like that's the priority on the horizon. I don't have any races, so
Yeah, it's the, like, LOL, what now?
yeah. Well, I was talking to Ben on the way to the grocery store yesterday about that, and I was just like scrolling the Atlanta Track Club because they put upcoming events. Some of those are free for members. And I was just, what if we do this thing? What if we do this thing? He's like, are you like itching for a race? What's wrong with you? I was like, there's nothing. There's nothing coming up. Yes, I am.
And we'll talk about that a little bit. Because obviously I have Chicago on the books, but
hmm
what is gonna be the next big
Yeah.
thing?
Until we get through registration, I currently have nothing on my calendar running wise. Wild. First
Yeah.
time in like 2 years maybe that I haven't had something. I guess mentally I can start preparing for marathon weekend again probably, but it's too soon. It's too soon. All right, let's get into our countdown. We have 30 days until Springtime Surprise Weekend 2025. Good luck to everyone who is participating. You're 1 month out. I believe in you. I will be sad to not be there. We have 184 days until Disneyland Halloween Half Marathon 2025. Your proof of time deadline is April 1st, 2025. You're getting real close now, less than a month. I hope you've secured your times. Don't wait, put them in. 233 days until Wine and Dine Half Marathon 2025. Shirt deadline is March 26th, 2025, which is also only a few short weeks away. And your proof of time deadline is May 1st, 2025. We have 309 days until Marathon Weekend 2026. Oh my goodness. Club Run Disney registration is today. Yeah.
Yeah, it sure is.
Is today, March 4th, 2025. So if you're in the club, I mean, not that you should be panicking about what you are securing, but I hope you feel comfortable with your selections, I guess. I don't know. You can panic for about a week on what you want to do, like Natalie does. And then general registration next week, March 11th, 2025. I still have another week to flounder about what exactly I'm going to do and see if I'm going to let FOMO take the wheel or not. We've got 359 days until Princess Half Marathon Weekend 2026. Club Run Disney registration is June 17th, 2025, and general registration is June 24th, 2025. I'm excited. I'm already ready for another princess since, we're going to get into it, but I had a really good time. Tell us about the news, Natalie. Tell us about the news.
Well, there's no good a segue as talking about marathon weekend. So, on the 25th of February, we got our marathon weekend themes.
It's speaking to us.
Oh, it's speaking. It's actually yelling. So, the overarching theme is, "What is your story?" And each event has its own different motif and different type of story. And so, if you haven't seen this yet, the 5K is Pluto as always, sci-fi themed. The 10K is Chip and Dale, and it's a mystery detective type of story. The half marathon, Donald and Daisy, is a romance, a love story.
My favorite genre.
Yeah. Mickey and Minnie are our marathon as always, and that is fantasy.
Very fitting.
Goofy is the half marathon and full marathon, and he's a comedy as always. And Dopey is an adventure, a full fairy tale challenge, if you will, and a fairy tale feat, as the website says. And he is the 5K, 10K, half, and marathon.
How can they do this to me? I'm trying to reel it in. I was so confident that it would be either a goofy or a standalone marathon. but then they gotta go and throw the literary theming, the books at me, and uh, it's so good, and I'm so yeah, the FOMO is hitting hard.
Yeah, I think that Run Disney heard me go, "Yeah, I think if you had to register right now, like, I would do Goofy." And then they presented me, "Here's Dopey and his little buck tooth." And, I'm in. I mean, by the time you hear this, I won't exactly be in yet, but I will be claiming my Club Run Disney early registration. We're a million diamonds shine, baby. Dopey number
Yeah.
3. I'm only, like, sighing because I had so confidently gotten to the conclusion, especially during Princess Weekend, that I think that next year's not gonna be a dopey weekend in year
Mhm.
for me, and just being and I'll get into a little bit of, why I came to that conclusion. Just again, it's the Chicago Marathon of it all. Because I guess I have to remind you I'm running Chicago every it's like Tinkerbell needs attention or she dies. Um, I guess I have to remind you, but that's the consideration. That's why. But here we are. It's Dopey and his little buck tooth in the artwork. I'm in.
Mhm.
I'm sold. It'll be interesting, I think, to strategize as things go. So
Mhm.
obviously Chicago is going to be the A race. Dopey somehow is the B race.
Wild.
So I think that that'll be an interesting strategy for me also then to obviously lean in and have more fun too, where I'll have gotten it out of my system to go for the PR in Chicago,
Yeah.
hopefully, unless something happens and then no, 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 no,
You
no.
should talk to Jack from Rise and Run because not that it's the same time difference between the races, but with her, um, like, Dalmatian to Dopey, Corella what was it called?
I think she called it Corella to Dopey.
Yeah, Corella to Dopey. She may have some insight on what it's like to have, an A race before Dopey.
For sure. There's a lot of people. I kind of want to ask the villains group how many people are planning on doing Dopey after Chicago, and I think we'll probably be able to lean on each other a bit with that.
Yeah.
Of yeah, when Dopey's not your A race,
Mhm.
when it's not. So, yep, I'm
Yeah.
hook, line, and sinker.
The other shock that got me was the price increase as it does every year.
Yes.
Big ol' 7% increase on the
Yep.
prices. I'm
Yep.
sorry, but it passed the 700 mark for Dopey, and I just felt like I was gonna die.
Yeah, it did. It sure did. But girl math says that the marathon's only $2 more expensive, the standalones, than the half. So
Mhm.
girl math says it's pretty much free to do the marathon instead of the half.
Yeah. That still doesn't that the
That doesn't
girl
help.
math doesn't help with the challenges.
No, it doesn't, but I just wanted to point that out of the
Mhm.
$2 more, uh,
Yeah.
girl math. Yeah, it definitely that was it crossing that threshold was a lot because it was 688 this past year. So crossing the threshold is like that gives me some pause, but this is one of the most it's just such a cohesive theme too
Mhm.
that
I told one of my friends who is, like, an avid triathlete, about my feelings about the whole situation and how I'm so torn because the price has gone up and Ben and I hadn't really talked about doing Dopey. We had always said it would be standalone or goofy or something like that because we wanted to reduce the wake ups and really like maybe enjoy our vacation a little bit more from like a sleep standpoint.
Mhm.
And I was just telling him like all that, like, but that I still want to do it. And he was like, well, I mean, we work so that we can fund our hobbies. So maybe
True.
it doesn't matter. And I was like, oh, that was not helpful logic. But he also does I don't know if he's done a full Ironman before, but, he was, like, kind of comparing it to the cost of an Ironman because it's such an endeavor, and an Ironman is, like, 900 and something, so,
Dang.
yeah, that was rough to hear.
Dang. Yeah. Um that is a good point because I think that was also part of my logic of like why I thought that Goofy would be the move for next year again because I had so much fun running Goofy when I ran
Mhm.
it. But I yeah, the like Bucktooth Dopey, man. Like he's so cute. He's so cute. And he's got his little diamonds. Oh, man. 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 Um yeah, so we'll see what 2027 brings because this also breaks my again, which confidently stated last week where I'm like, I'm on this like every other year dopey cadence. I don't know how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, from that standpoint, from like a commitment level, we talk to dopey or not to dopey. From like a training commitment standpoint, it's really not all that different.
Right.
It's all about how you want the weekend experience to go and the cost.
Indeed. But also returning is the 4:30 start time.
I didn't mind.
I didn't mind either. I'm not gonna lie to you. I upon finishing Princess, I was like, I honestly wouldn't have minded if they said started at 4:30. Like, after the half, I was like, I wouldn't have minded, honestly, because that would have given us, like, a little more time to we
Mhm.
well, and we'll talk about,
We had to
the
get
re
out of our hotel. We were
yes.
in a bit of it felt like a lot more of a scramble until we realized it wasn't, but we were confidently back in our hotel rooms trying to shower, and you're, realizing that the balloon ladies were still on course, so we did not need to be panicking as we were.
The balloon ladies were still on, like, the highway. Like, not only, like, on the course, they were still, like, fully on the highway, like, hadn't hit 15K yet. We're like, "Oh, we're fine. We're just fine." Um, but yeah, I actually should get a room now, and then yeah, I should probably just get the room now. Um, and then we'll play and do Natalie shenanigans, for a while after that, but yeah, I'm in, and I am excited. I'm excited about the idea. I think it's just a little bit of apprehension with Chicago in the fall.
Mhm.
So, it's just a little I just with the difference of how it felt, and again, I will get into this a little bit later when we start talking Princess, of when you really, like, race your full, how long it takes to recover.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's I mean, I have 3 months between I think almost to the day. I think Metal Monday after Dopey will be 3 months after Chicago. So,
Mhm.
I have time. It's just that then I'll be jumping back in, so I'll just work with Kristen about how do we do this intelligently, and then lean on some of my other peeps, I'm sure, for some support there of, like, how do we do this smart? Because, it's a different beast.
Mhm.
But yeah, I even also realized that training for a full like I've built out what my if I follow Galloway, what that'll look like, and, it's 60 to 70 miles less, which I thought it would be more to do a standalone versus, like, Dopey. I
Mhm.
thought it would be more, but also 60 to 70 miles, that is a lot. So,
It's a whole month
yeah,
or more.
yeah, that's a lot of just your back to back. So, um, stay tuned for more Delulu math, I guess, as we figure out what I'm doing there. In terms of other news, we're going to talk about the springtime surprise event guide in 2 weeks. Hope we did get it this week, though. The one thing I do want to comment now is that we didn't get any news about the whole Brooks shoe situation, about where that's going to be. Meaning, when we look at the maps of the expo, we don't have like something that indicates that, for sure it's going to be in the building where Jeff Galloway,
The vendor
Boots,
building.
the vendor building, yes, I completely she went, "Bye." Or if it's going to be in the merchandise building. I can personally see a case for both in that when it's not marathon weekend, the Run Disney merch building
Mhm.
has a lot of elbow room.
Mhm.
So, but also I believe the New Balance shoes when back in the day that they had those were in the vendor building. So it'll be very interesting and I'm curious to hear some more information as we get a little bit closer to springtime surprise because that usually they fill in the like vendor or like all
Mhm.
the different vendors at their booths a little bit closer to the weekend. So,
Yeah. I could see them not wanting it to be in the merchandise building just because people are going to linger for a lot longer in the building. I think, because of it. There's a difference between trying on a t-shirt and trying on a shoe. I guess if you already own Brooks, then maybe you don't have to try them on,
Oh, I always try 'em on.
but I try I yeah, I've never had good luck with, like, ordering a shoe online because even within the same line or whatever, there's little differences between each shoe, so, yeah, I could see them not wanting to have it in there, but also the vendor building is really packed to the gills regardless of the weekend, so, I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough of where they're actually going to put it.
Mhm.
Um, Obviously, as somebody who has Club Run Disney, there's a little bit of a bias for it to be
The
in
merchandise.
the merchandise. Also because that will really increase the value of my membership personally. Again,
Mhm.
this is completely selfish, and I understand that. Like, that kind of it's like when they when I registered for Club Run Disney the first time, that was before they virtual queued the merch.
Mhm.
And that accident it was one of those accidental increase in your value of the membership because I didn't have to deal with the virtual queue then. And I registered and then it came in for the next season. Another thing that accidentally increased the value is when they added Disneyland, because then I got another erase tab early registration for.
Mhm.
So, like, I like these kind of like usually like we do the opposite, we do some like
Mhm.
shrinkflation. I like this whole like accidental like upping of the thing, but either way, if it's not in the merch building, it'll be interesting how quickly people skedaddle out of like of their shopping windows. Like, peace out, see ya, bye.
Mhm.
Um, to get like just get out of there
Mhm.
and then like line up at the gates to go to the other building.
Mhm.
But yeah, I could see it being I mean, I feel like the first one will be kind of messy either way. Like the implementation will be messy.
Mhm.
Um I think Springtime Surprise still was the good or a good place to do it because that is
Yeah.
the smallest weekend of them. That and Wine and Dine are the 2 smaller ones, but it'll be interesting to say the least on how all that goes.
Mhm. Good business decision on their part since it's the smallest one to potentially get more people to sign up.
Oh, yeah, because I think the timeline of the news was definitely later when the bibs
Oh,
were all
yeah, there was
still
still
open,
stuff open, yeah.
or at least the challenge was open, the 10-miler was open.
Mhm.
Now it's just yoga open.
Mhm.
Last piece of news that's tangentially related to Springtime Surprise is Blizzard Beach is going to celebrate its 30th anniversary throughout the month of April. It will close on April 30th, and Typhoon Lagoon is to reopen on May 1st. So part of the whole splash and dash party or the post race party for that was supposed to be at Typhoon Lagoon. Well, it's not reopening until May 1st. So that's why I guess partially factors into the decision why they canceled that party instead of moving it to Blizzard, I guess. But I don't know. So yeah, that's
Also kinda crushes their well, it's not fully crushing because there's still opportunity depending on how quickly they can do maintenance on Blizzard of still, like, a potential dual park situation for the weekend or for not the weekend, for the summer.
that's also interesting too because because at first they hadn't announced that Typhoon would close.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, that when Blizzard's closing date was.
Mhm.
I think based on what I'm hearing is that like the water parks are crowded, so it's got to be staffing for lifeguards.
Mhm.
It's got to be staffing related. So I'm not like I don't know. I guess I'm still optimistic that they're going to
Disney, if you
try.
need lifeguards, I'm open. I'm totally willing to re-up that certification.
Just you just got to be flexible with my hours.
Yeah, weekend hours only.
Yeah. That would be quite the summer. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. Also this is something that dropped and I was there for the first day of virtual queues being lifted for Guardians and Tiana. So that was also interesting, because when we brought up virtual queue for Springtime Surprise, that's still gonna be I don't know, not to spoil our event guide episode, but, that's still gonna be in place for the virtual queue for
Mhm.
merch, but that'll be, like, the only virtual queue on property.
Yeah, we might actually have to, like, fully explain what a virtual queue is to people who
Yeah,
may have never experienced one before.
yeah, for sure. So I'll probably go into depth a little bit more with that. But I thought about it, I'm like, wow, it's gonna be like a relic. It's like, oh yeah, just like your ride. Wait a minute. Your virtual queues. But
Yeah.
yeah, probably have to explain a little bit more about where that is in the app. Time for a fun fact though. We have two of them. So on the 4th of March in 1997, The Hunchback of Notre Dame is released on VHS. And for kids, that's like before DVDs and Blu-rays. There was this thing called the VHS.
Sometimes they were orange.
Yes, like the Rugrats one.
Yeah.
The Rugrats orange VHS about Passover.
Mm.
Watched a lot. Please be kind and rewind before you return your VHS. And on March 4th in 2020, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway opens at Walt Disney World. And this is the first time Mickey and Minnie and friends have been featured in a Disney attraction, except Goofy. He already had one with the Barnstormer.
But, like, all of them together?
Yeah.
Wow. Fab
Yep.
5.
Yeah, we had a fun 2020 another fun well, this one's probably the first fun 2020 fun fact here. Cuz it's funny just again like just putting myself back in the spot of like, oh, I'm like just so close to this new virtual queue or well, they didn't virtual queue that. I don't no, they didn't virtual queue it, but this new ride opening and then chaos ensued.
Alright, you ready to move on to our main topic?
Oh, I'm ready.
Princess! We know
Woohoo!
that's what you're all here for. You had to sit through, I don't know, 20 or some odd minutes of us just, talking about other stuff, but it's finally here.
Most magical glittery weekend of the year. So, something I want to open with that if you ran Princess, you know this, but if you are running Springtime Surprise or running for, future races, you might not have. So, there was a change in the Photo Pass protocol for this weekend. So, a challenge registration just generates one code for the registration, and it's not necessarily linked to your bib number.
Mhm.
This was new with Princess, where it wasn't you weren't able it was different and it was also different. So I am hearing, I did not try this myself, that you can only do 5 per weekend.
Mhm.
I didn't try it myself. So
Which
and
would
I
mean
don't
you
know,
theoretically have less slots available on your annual pass or your photo pass.
I feel like there's some deserved pushback on that because I think that what might be a little more fair is it's 5 per registration type. So if you have because a lot of people run with their families for
Mhm.
the 5K. So say you have 3 kids, or parents and kids run,
Mhm.
and, like, are you gonna like, you have to use all 5 and then say the parents then run the challenge. You, like,
Mhm.
use all of your slots or, like, pick your like, theoretically, you're probably running with your kids if, like, you have little
Yeah.
kids, but, like, pick your favorites and then go, "Okay, well, we're gonna, like, hope we all get into the same frames." That makes a little bit more sense logically to me, but again, this isn't something I, like, sat and tried out myself, so I can't really comment on
Mhm.
if once they it's just something that it's the rumor mill, and feel free to correct me if you found out that it is more of like oh, you can do 5 for the 5K and then 5 for the challenge. Um,
We'd love to know.
yeah, that would be great information to have because then, people do a variety of things during the weekend, like people who are in their groups. Um, I think something that's good from the privacy aspect of it is if you are running with your kids, like, and you do maybe block out their name on their bib number,
Mhm.
people can't just pick up pictures of your kids because they'd have to have because the unique code is
Or
not
if
at all.
or if you're like me and make a typo, you don't have a random other person's photos on your photo pass because I did that during marathon weekend.
I definitely have done that during races
And there's
before.
no way to get rid of them once you enter them. It's not like you can go back retroactively and remove stuff.
No, you're stuck
It's
with
there
them
forever.
because there have been times where I've like then posted in a group and gone, "Hey, I accidentally grabbed your bib too." Um, and I don't post all the pictures there. I'm like, message me and I'll send them all to you because I already literally have them. So,
Mhm.
I've actually never had someone take me up on that. It's only been people I know, but yeah, it's kind of nice from the accidental typo standpoint because it's more uniquely generated and
Mhm.
it doesn't correlate, at least from both of my registrations. It did not correlate with my, like, confirmation number
Mhm.
because I looked, 'cause of course I did. Um, because I wanted to see if there was a correlation between confirm number and the photo passcode. It doesn't, but definitely good. And because I talked to a few parents who were like, "Well, I kind of like that for my kids so that people aren't gonna go they can't just go pull their numbers." Not that I think
Mhm.
anyone would, but then they
Well,
don't.
there's creepy people out there, so maybe they
Exactly.
would.
Exactly. Or like I don't have to cover up the bib number and I don't have to cover up, I so that's good. I like that from this privacy of or standpoint of privacy with that.
Mhm.
So that was something that obviously before because we got our check-in passes on Monday, February 18th, but we had already been recorded for the next 2 after that, so or before at that point, so, we didn't have a chance to chit chat about it.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm gonna open with we're gonna talk about the expo, but I'd like to open with,
We had
Nat
vastly different experiences.
yeah, that too, but we're gonna go with the Natalie and the Great Identity Crisis, a saga. Um, so when I got my check-in pass, I was very surprised that it's in my married name because I had them update my account late January. So that if I was going to use my wine and dine registration, I had the ability to, it was going to be in my married name. So my check-in pass popped up in my married name. But as we will learn, there were a couple discrepancies here. So my All-Star Movies room when I got there on Tuesday, the 18th of February, that was in O'Malley. The Saratoga room that I transferred to, that was Boyle. My check-in pass is O'Malley, but Club Run Disney when I went to check in slash my timing chip, like what says that was in Boyle, which I figured that was going to be the case because I know that they print bibs.
Way in
I,
advance.
yeah, like I think around marathon weekend they were already printing bibs. I resulted in O'Malley though, and then the Port Orleans room was also in O'Malley. So it's little identity crisis. Like, who is she? Who am I, Hedwig? I don't know. Um, but all that to say, to get into the expo, I got there around I think like 7:55, 8 a.m. So which is a little later than I have been getting there since my Club Run Disney shopping window moved back to start at um 8:30. And I actually wasn't as far back as I thought I would be. I was
Mhm.
definitely further up than I was for marathon weekend when I got there earlier, and probably about where I was for wine and dine when I got there earlier. So that was kind of nice. Um, I was very, very impressed that I did not see a thrown elbow. I just every honestly, this is one of the least chaotic Club Run Disney shopping windows I've had, and maybe am I traumatized from marathon weekend a little? Maybe. But even I remember Wine and Dine this year was more chaotic than I believe than this past
Mhm.
Princess was for Club Run Disney shopping. Everything was like delightful, honestly. Um Everyone was very well behaved. Like there weren't people like hovering over like everything was well stocked.
Mhm.
Is this partially because maybe there was less interest in things? Yeah. But I felt like everything was well stocked. Everyone was behaved. Everyone was like, it was like everything that
Mhm.
Princess is supposed to be of like, that's why I love Princess. It's like, it's a girls' weekend. It was one of the smoothest experiences I've had. I also went in not really looking for a lot.
Mhm. Yeah, my list of needs was one thing.
Yes. And I didn't go in looking for a lot in the first place. So, um, that was kind of nice. So, I got the tank tops, which I liked. I got a crew neck for the challenge that actually I was not anticipating getting. Um, I did get the pass holder jacket, but it was bequeathed to
It
um,
became mine. That
yes.
was not intentional.
It was one of those where I liked it. I thought it was I thought it was a nice fit on me. But it was one of those like because I got the sweatshirt too, like what do I need?
Mhm.
Type of thing. So it's one of those I usually purchase it and then make a decision a little later and then return to the expo if needed or
Or
became
return
Hannah's.
to friend.
Yes. Got the shoe ornament, my pins. They had plenty of stock of pins.
Mhm.
I was very impressed. Even like the coast to coast metal replica was even there by the last day, which I thought that was going to fly off the shelves. But I thought that everyone was, well behaved. I think the biggest line also because they have the Pandora station
Mhm.
in the Run Disney merch building. They
Mhm.
also have one in the vendor building, but that
Maybe
was
that's
probably
where
the
the
most
shoes will go.
could be. Or and then they're moving maybe they move the number signs elsewhere. I don't know.
Mhm.
Ugh. But it's more that I think about marathon weekend and, like,
Yeah.
how clustered and how cramped it can feel during marathon weekend, but they
Mhm.
also have some more space, like, upstairs because that's where the Club Run Disney Platinum Lounge is upstairs. So, I don't know. I don't know, man. Um, but that was yeah, I felt like everyone was really well behaved. I kind of got in and out relatively quickly, a lot of really cute stuff. I really liked the I didn't buy it, but the yoga flow was really cute. And we had gotten a preview for that and when with the merchandise preview that you could pre-order. But that was nice. It was nice and calm. Met up with my friends Rachel and Amanda, and they kind of helped me gauge sizing things. And we were like talking each other through our purchases because it's like, okay, white hat, like, ooh, I'm gonna get makeup on that, so no, um, type of stuff where it was good. And then what was unique about this was that they held us behind the gates. So if you there's the ESPN, the red ball, the globe,
Mhm.
and then the gates are right behind that, like,
Mhm.
if you're going uphill. They kept those gates closed until about 9:45 in the morning and held us back. We're usually even because I had to be checked out by 9:30. Had plenty of time with that, and they held us behind the gates and then they opened them. And it was nice because there was a nice, like, cast members, like, waving, clapping. There was a trash can that was blowing bubbles in the middle. That was cool. Definitely very much like a welcome to princess type of deal, which was very, very exciting. I also have never gotten through bib pickup that fast. I'm still like, I think I had both my bibs by 10:14.
Mm.
And obviously you have to get two because
Mhm.
it's two different registrations to the challenge and the 5K. I waited behind, like, one person for my challenge registration, and then I had, like, maybe one person in front of me for the 5K, or I think I walked up to one of them, but whatever, it didn't
Mhm.
something it was so short that I was, like, absolutely bamboozled. The characters there that day were, Princess Minnie, and then Mulan and Shang, her mans. So I did wait for that line. That was a long line. And I did the pass stop with there was like they put in or there was an apple and then they put in like something like I think like a cauldron or something in front of me. So
Mhm.
um that was cool to do. Wore the podcast shirt, so got a couple recognitions off of that. Saw, um, in addition to my friends Rachel and Amanda, I saw Leslie and Christina at the expo. Christina was, like, right behind me in the Club Run Disney line, which was funny because I was standing there for a little bit before that I realized, like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" Um, yeah, I did go talk to Jeff Galloway after I got my shirts, and actually the day before the expo, Jeff Galloway had posted on his Instagram with, like, pictures of runners and, like, how excited he was, like, how great it is to meet people at the expo, and he posted, "I was part of the carousel, and not only was I part of the carousel, but I'm the cover." I freaked out.
It was
I
so cute.
I freaked out because it was a picture we took at marathon weekend. So, I like to talk to Jeff, and I like to get him on expo day too, because I like to chat with him and, just say like, yeah, like, so we talk, like because I tell him he's part of my little PR ritual or my little like fast race ritual, I guess I should say, call it now. And I was like, all right, Jeff, it worked. We cut almost 32 minutes off our marathon time at the end of Dopey. So that was nice to chit chat. Um, by this point of the expo, my mom always pops into the expo and she was in the Pandora line and she said, "There's a dopey charm," and I materialized at her side like that.
Magic.
Like, I had just gotten out of the Jeff Galloway line, so I was right there, but she's like, "Oh, I'm in the Pandora line." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool," and she's like, "There's a dopey charm," and literally, like, I think within 30 seconds, I was at her side, and she laughed so hard, she was like, "Wow, all you gotta do is say dopey, and you're there." I did, he like a hitchhiking ghost, he followed me home.
He was very cute.
He's so cute. So I'm excited to put him on a charm bracelet so that because he was so
Mhm.
cute.
Yep.
The cup was cute. They had a peach seltzer, which was exciting for I accept the fact that we're not bringing our beer cup. I didn't even bring my old ones this time. Not even the orange Wild Weather Sports one because and which I'm glad I didn't because now they have it when they run out of the cute one, they have a generic Run Disney one, which I'd like to acquire just for science. But it's cute. It's got like the new branding with the green and the blue
Mhm.
on it, and it's cute too. But I'd like to acquire one for science purposes. Don't worry about it. Then I had to work.
Yeah.
So
We kinda did a flip-flop. So I worked all morning. Technically, I worked all day, but I had a gap in my schedule later that I was able to go to the expo. I went and got my bib first, and I waited 0 time. Walked straight down, walked right up to I think I did the challenge line first, no one in my line. Walked up, got my thing, went over to the 5K line, again, nobody in my line, so just straight walk up. I did not stop for any, photo opportunities in the expo. I walked through the bib verification. I had my 5K bib on top of my challenge bib, and the cast member tried to tried to stop me. She's like, "Oh, that bib won't do anything because it's 5K. There's no chip on it." And I was like, "Oh, but like," and then I just like separated them. She's like, "Oh, but that one will." And I was like, "Okay." That was really fun to see my name pop up on the list as I walked through. Good to know it works, and also just I don't know. There's something fun about seeing your name pop up in a big list like that. And
indeed.
then I went to pick up my shirts, grabbed my shirts. I was very good. I only got distracted once at the Sparkle Athletics because I did not look, we were on the spending freeze, and I therefore did not do any costumes minus what we'll talk about for the 10K because that was purchased and all before the spending freeze. Um, so I decided that what I would do is I bought 2 bows for my hair. I bought a blue bow and I bought a purple bow because purple is my purple power color. And so I already knew I had a bunch of blue stuff that 5K was supposed to be our group costume with Run Fit Mama and Run Fit Fab, and it was going to be Fairy Godmother. But since I wasn't going to do that, I was like, blue, that's kind of close. I'll just do an all blue outfit. So I acquired the blue, and then because I didn't have an outfit for the half either, I was like, I'm just gonna wear as much purple accents as possible. So I wore, we'll talk about it later, but I got myself the sparkly purple bow, and that was it. Got the shirts, got the bows, got out. And then I went to the merch building, even though I knew I wasn't supposed to get anything, and just to look. And Natalie confirmed that she got my ornament for me, which I told her was the only thing I wanted to, like, continue, is I always wanna have my ornament from each race. And I walked in, I thought about the hat because I don't wear makeup, so the white hat would not be a problem for me. And I thought about the ears, and the one thing I did tell myself was that I wanted that pass holder jacket because I saw it later if it was available. Well, it was not available when I walked through, so that sort of saved me. And then I called my partner Ben on the phone and was like, "I need you to talk me out of buying things because there's cute things and I want them." And purple's my color and everything was purple in there. So, it was a tough, tough time, and I did not purchase anything. I didn't pack any ears for the trip by accident, and Ben's logic was, "Well, I mean, you didn't pack any ears, but remember those other ears that you wanted at marathon weekend? Maybe you should wait, and you should go look at other ears, and you can always come back." And then I just didn't get any ears. And I didn't get the hat because we just organized all of our hats. We have a lot of hats, and we have, like, over 20, probably almost, like, 30 something hats between the 2 of us, like, baseball caps. He was like, "You really don't need another hat, and you just got a marathon weekend hat, so I think you're okay." And I was like, "Fine." And then I left. So, I was good, mom. I was
Can
good.
confirm.
Yeah, and that was kinda it. Then I think we grabbed some lunch, and that was expo day.
Indeed it was. Indeed it was.
5K morning was good. It was cold.
It'd be fine if it weren't for the wind, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whew.
Honestly, the whole blue outfit really worked in my favor, that I didn't really have a costume because I could just layer up as much as I wanted that morning. I did leggings, I had, like, I just, like, had a random, like, running long sleeve underneath my dopey sweatshirt, which was also blue, different shade of blue, um, blue hair bow, and I put on my dark blue sparkle skirt on top of my leggings, and that was it. And did I wear a beanie? Did I not wear a beanie? No, because I would have covered I did for a little bit, and it covered the bow just until we started getting going, and then I took it off. But stuffed my bra with hot hands and wrapped myself in Mylar. It was an experience.
An experience it was. I wore glitter lips for a 5K because Bob from Rise and Run wore glitter lips for a 5K. I did participate in the Dopey Strong, a fairy godmother 5K costume, but I missed the picture by like a lot.
Mm.
So, yeah, that's fine. I did see a couple other fairy godmothers on, of course. That was exciting. I Actually, it was a pretty easy costume to put together because it consisted of a lot of things I already owned, plus I did have to buy the little mini cape for Fairy Godmother, but that was relatively inexpensive. I bought a little wand, which I enjoyed having a plaything. Um, Actually took a cool video of which I haven't posted anywhere yet of like I timed like my start with like bippity boppity boo, like when they hit the fireworks. And then I was a non-playable character on the screen, as some of my friends have told me. I knew the camera was right by me, but I was like within my wave, but I was like waving, but then there was this like group of cute girls who were like, or they had a really cute group costume together. I'm like, I don't want to like be annoying, and like you guys are like a cute group, so, but I was got a couple messages like, oh yeah, I saw you on the screen. I was like just waving my little wand because it's nice to have a prop. I had hot hands on my feet that I had bought from Costco. So remember when I made the joke of like, well, you know, I might as well stock up.
Mhm.
But I had them on my feet, so that was nice to have, because my tootsies were nice and warm. They, like, stuck they were, like, adhesive to my feet, and then I also had some hot hands in my gloves. I had extras in my pockets. The wind definitely was a little brutal. I know it hurt Pelkey's soul to have to say, "You can keep your Mylar on today." And, because for when there's no bib or when there's no chip in the bib, you technically can. I know they don't like encouraging that because then by the next day, like, you do have to make sure your Mylar comes
Mhm.
off. Mine was off. I took it off before the
Mhm.
start, and then it was, to the races as one does. Um, I didn't do quite as many character stops this time. The lines were all pretty long. Um
Mhm. That's an understatement. They were very long.
I think a lot of people have caught on to the strategy of 5K like there's only so many princessy characters. So um by because my strategy usually is like 5K, 10K, do like all the characters, whatever, and then by the half, if you want to like run the half, a lot of sometimes they're repeats.
Mhm.
Or I mean,
Or you may have gotten them in previous races, or there's a lot
exactly.
of yeah, overlap.
Exactly. So a lot of people have caught on to that. Um It's all good though, because it's all in the spirit of the fun of doing it. Because obviously, like, you can't get mad at character lines being long, you're in the line too.
Mhm. I did like this year though, I think they did it for some lines in Marathon, but pretty much every single line I'm gonna go with most of the lines in Princess Weekend were kind of in, like, reverse order, so you saw the character before you got in line, which is nice because otherwise you do a lot of doubling back when you have no idea what line you're getting in. Obviously, if you ask someone, most of the time they'll just tell you what line they're standing in, but I liked that you could see that, and it really helped you judge if you wanted to get in the line
Mhm.
because you would fully, like, conceptualize just how long it really was.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the cast member, like, holding up the paddle, that was newish last season, but,
Mhm,
like, I think that the, like, reverse order line were like, "Hey, it's Anna and Elsa." Like,
mhm,
"No, thank you." It's been nice, and I think it helps streamline things
mhm.
a lot. but I did stop for Princess Minnie because I didn't get her at the expo because that was such a long line, um, because she's so stinking cute.
She was
Uh,
very cute.
oh my god, I love her. Um, oh, I did pee during this race too, but because it was
If you can't tell from this comment, we discuss our bathroom habits pre-recording.
indeed,
I mean,
uh,
also on the recordings, but,
yeah.
in advance.
But yeah, my spouse's special favorite bathroom in Epcot. He went there and then I got into the Princess Mini line, waited for that. I think it was like 20-ish minutes, but she was so stinking cute. Like, how could you not? Um, Proceeded on the course, just kind of enjoyed just flitting around with my wand. Got a really, really good picture in Italy, actually. So I guess I'll stop being a hater of the Italy pavilion for about 2 seconds. Because I saw a bunch of people who went up on like one of the bridges and I helped take a gigantic group costume. I'm trying to remember what they were because it was really, really cool. But giant group costume, like took a picture of them or took a bunch of pictures of them because you could see Spaceship Earth in the background, obviously, and it was a really good photo. Then they got me in return. I saw a lot of really good costumes. I think one of my favorites was a big family that was different characters from Mulan, and some of them were like the ancestors, where they basically had like gray mesh because since they were the ancestors, they were,
Mm,
deceased, like
mhm.
over their costumes. I thought it was hilarious, like really well done too. I mean, people really come out for their costumes and whatnot, but I remember like chuckling and I love like, I also love when you're in a line. Actually, when the line is like past the character and you have to double back, like I do like doing that because it's funny to see people like run by. It's like the fashion show of like, oh, these people are dressed like this, these people are dressed like that. Like I love just watching and observing, and it's also a moment to kind of take in how special like these experiences are of
Mhm.
just, enjoying and just watching people come by. And sometimes like when you catch somebody in just their first race or their first time running through the parks, it's really, really special, especially with Princess having been my first 5 years ago. I later got the stepsisters and Lady Tremaine, which was exciting because I was the fairy godmother, so they were fighting over the wand.
Mhm. How thematic.
It was so good. It's like, and like in the picture, they're fighting over the wand. And I think our Lady Tremaine, Lady Tremaine, because I was by myself. I think my Lady Tremaine was the fairy godmother that we had in November at Storybook.
You
I'm
mean you
pretty
mean the evil queen?
Yes, the evil queen. Thank you. I guess I'm just continually inserting myself into this because I was the fairy godmother. But I think she was our evil queen. I just like again acting choices like her like so good because it was one of the funniest character stops I've ever gotten because that was between Canada and the UK in Epcot. Yeah, I'm just laughing the whole photo. And got always get the spaceship Earth shot. I thought about doing a jump shot, but I didn't want. I chickened out because the line was kind of long and it goes really really fast. But I still didn't want to like overstay my welcome in a
Mhm.
way in that line. So that was good. Yeah, it was windy that morning.
Yeah, for
Quite
sure.
windy in Chile.
Yeah, we parted ways, that in that in the morning, and it was cold. I had bundled myself up in my Mylar. I tie a little tie at my neck, and then I always tie a little spot around my waist so I don't have to hold it. I just sort of, like, hold the middle part together so the wind doesn't blow through it. Really full on burrito right there, and, I thought I was just, like, really excited to get into the corral, to be honest, because other people we can penguin huddle, there's less wind when you have other people blocking it for you and
True.
such, and it worked, and I stumbled upon Bob from Rise and Run. It was, I just was walking in and all of a sudden he was in front of me and he was talking with a group of other ladies and I didn't wanna I'm socially awkward, didn't wanna, like, interrupt or insert myself into someone else's conversation. I also don't wanna be accused of eavesdropping, so I was trying to, like, w wait for an opening to be like, "Hi," but then, like, not really just, like, a quick thing. Um, and eventually, like, I just sort of got absorbed into the huddle bubble, of chatting, and we stuck together for the entire race. Once we walked up to the start, Bob was like, "Wow, it suddenly got really cold." I was like, "Well, we are moving again. We're no longer huddling for warmth." So that was fun, and the 4 of us, it was me, Bob, uh, Catherine, and Debbie, and we all kinda just, like, rotated throughout the entire 5K chatting with each other, so, like, Catherine and Debbie were talking to each other for a little bit, and Bob and I were talking to each other for a little bit, and then we started a little rotation, and I talked to Catherine for a bit, and then I was talking to Debbie, and it was very fun. We did not stop for very many photos during the 5K. We passed Princess Minnie. We were just having a good time, like, enjoying ourselves, talking, learning a lot about new people. Like, I'd never met Catherine or Debbie before the 5K. I got to learn a lot. Um, Debbie, I hope your calf feels better, and I hope PT is going well. Um, and I would really like to hear how the rest of your weekend went. And we also spotted Kristen, AKA Run Fit Mama, on course when we were passing Spaceship Earth, and Bob stopped and they did a little, I think they did a little reel together or
Yeah, they
something, like,
did.
on course, and then we all got back together and we all walked across the finish line together. Like, it was just a really fun experience, and then we were all walking out, and Bob, I think, went to go talk to Pelkey or somebody, I don't know, and then they left to drive home because everyone except me was a local, and I just yeah, we had fun, went took some pictures, and it was just a really chill both literally and figuratively 5K. I was very happy when we got back on the bus because I had worn gloves to keep my fingers, but then I was trying to, like, take pictures and message people and stuff afterwards, my fingers got really cold. So, yeah, that was my 5K. For the 10K, however, we actually did have a plan. We had matching costumes, it was super cute. Natalie and I were Susie and Perla. Natalie was Susie and I was Perla because purple is my color, purple power. And those are the if you don't know who we're talking about, those are the 2 little mice, uh, girlfriends? I don't really know. From Cinderella of Gus
I wouldn't
Gus. Are
I
they?
wouldn't I wouldn't describe it until then the aprons because we got our aprons from Lover Dovers. They were wonderful.
Mhm.
Shout out to them. Um, but mine had Gus Gus on there and
Mhm.
yours had Jock. So,
Yeah.
like, are they, like I don't know, I guess I gotta rewatch Cinderella. It's been a
It's been
minute.
a while.
It's been a minute. Needed to do a character study. Shame
Mhm.
on me.
It was such a good costume though, like, so easy. We talk a lot about, like, some of these costumes are really elaborate and you gotta remember all the pieces and stuff, but this was so easy. You just put it on top of running clothes because there's an apron, as Natalie said. The pockets were great. I could
Mhm.
literally wear it again, and it didn't move, it didn't bounce, like, I had fuel in those pockets, nothing came out, and it was just like and then there was little neckerchief head
Mhm.
thingies, and it was just super simple, and the costume was done, and I really appreciated that.
The ease was
Yeah,
so nice. Because then they weren't, like,
and nothing
crazy, crazy
rubbed or anything.
Yeah, they weren't, like, crazy expensive either. If you would join their mailing list, you can get 20% off,
Mhm,
or so that was nice too. Um, so yeah, definitely big shout out to them. I'll definitely be ordering some stuff in the future because especially for little things where it's like, "Oh, like, how do I, like, get the point across?" But yeah,
mhm,
definitely, aprons are pretty good, especially the big pockets. I was absolutely shooketh to have, like,
mhm.
giant pockets.
They were great, and if you are gonna run, a 5K or 10K, however old your children are, but if you wanna do, like, a mommy and me or, that kinda thing, they have adorable, like, mommy and me kinda costumes where it's the exact same, but just, like, big, small. Um, Highly recommend. I think that would be super adorable.
Oh my goodness. The little baby costumes are so because a lot of those are a little closer to, like, dresses, but
Mhm,
oh my god, are they cute. They're so stinking cute. So, if you're looking for Halloween or whatever, but yeah, I love it.
mhm.
I love it. So, into the 10K we go. Um, we grabbed Dopey pre-race. I want to extend my heartfelt sorry for people who saw Dopey during Princess Week and went, no, love him. Love Dopey. Every time there's a good time to see Dope. Every day is a good day to go see Dopey. Um, especially I guess he's been out during Wine and Dine before. He was during my first Wine and Dine. So, and that was a very, very stoked occasion, let me tell you. Lost my mind, went through the character line twice when he left right before I got there. But anyway, Dopey was out pre-race, so that was good because Snow White was the challenge themes. So that was great to do.
Mhm.
Um, but I know that there are a couple people who are Dopey's like, wait a minute, there's only one more race after this. There's only one. Um, there's not a marathon at the end of this weekend.
So glad that it was the last final week. Oh, that, there's one less wake up.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But I scooted off to Corral C as one does. And I did break a Cardinal Run Disney rule called I had to stop in the first park bathroom because I was about to explode. Um, I don't know why I felt the need to narrate that now, be considering that's like halfway through the race, but it was um, it was a trying time for me.
Mhm.
And but before that, I stopped in the first character line, which I actually tend to not do either because those tend to be pretty long.
Mhm.
And it was Belle, so I thought I would get through it before Hannah caught me, but Hannah caught me. I was probably like 2/3 of the way through the line
Mhm.
when Hannah caught up to me, and that was great because that was like less than half a mile into the race.
I was
Um,
impressed myself. I really genuinely Natalie tends to, in the earlier races, she'll text me and say, "Hey, I'm in this line. Hey, I'm in this line. This is what's coming up." She shoots the information back as a good friend does. And I thought there was absolutely no way, because when she texted me that she was in that line, I was like, "I just like crossed the start
Mhm.
line, man. Like there's no way." But I made it,
She did.
and it was a cute photo. So I
So
was
cute.
ecstatic. I kept, I was running really casually by the line, getting closer and closer to the front, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, she's definitely not in this line. I don't even know why I'm looking." And then bam, there you were.
Like a comet pulled from orbit. Yes, I was there. So that was great, and then we went on to the next one, which was
Mhm.
Tiana, which we did stop for as well,
She
and
was really good.
oh, so good.
I was so sad I couldn't think of something like creative to say other than just like, "Thanks."
Like, it was, like, after the fact, I was like, "Oh, we were wearing aprons too."
Mhm.
Like, and she's a chef. Uh, but yeah, she was so good, and it was, like, there's only so much you can look at, like, so I was, like, obviously being in a line and, like, she was right in front of us, I was like I felt like I was doing, like, a study on all the different layers of fabric on her dress, because like, I
It
had been,
was
like, the
so well constructed. I mean, Disney does a great
beautiful.
job, but it was so good.
Especially she's, like, twirling around, I'm like,
Mhm.
"Oh, the different layers," like, it's been the closest I had been, like, for an extended period of time, like, to her dress, I'm like, "Oh, it's so pretty." I loved it. I loved it. She was a delight. After that, there were lots of character lines that we did not stop at because the lines
They
were
were
ridiculous.
long, and as we said earlier, we've stopped for a lot of characters. Not that that stops us from doing repeats, but Natalie really had to pee.
True.
And I personally, like, if I've already seen one, I don't really feel the need to stop again most of the time.
Mhm.
So, we just kept it chugging. We did pass a woman when we were getting pretty close to coming back into the park for the 10K,
Mhm.
who was sort of limping along over an overpass, and she said that she had blown out her knee,
Mhm.
and that was very sad. We offered to walk with her, but she said no. She was very insistent on the no, just
Yes.
to be clear.
Yeah.
Um,
Because we would not we double we were like, "Are you're sure?" She's like, "No, we've already called for medical." I'm like, "But you're sure you don't need us to stay here with you, right?"
mhm. And then she
Because we were also insistent of like, "We need to make sure you're okay."
mhm, and we spotted her sitting on, You know, like the guardrails they put so that, cars don't drive off the road and stuff. Well, we spotted
Mhm.
her sitting on one of those waiting with a few other people, so
Yeah.
it was all good. But I think we're not 100% sure, but we think she might have been a perfect princess. So that was very sad to see.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping for the best with her and just my thoughts of with that, because
Mhm.
of course, of course, like, we, like, stopped to try it, because like, I would want, like, if that was my mom or, like, if that was
Mhm.
me, like, I would want someone to, like, maybe, like, help me, uh, or, at least get medical attention my way. I'm
Mhm.
like, "Well, yeah, I would want someone to not that it's your responsibility to help me, but, like, I would like somebody to make sure I'm not dying out here.
Yeah.
Please and thanks." But, um yeah, on a more positive note, as I got to the lovely Figment bathroom, that was really a lifesaver. I was behind the granny princesses.
Mhm.
They were a hoot and a half, which I had seen some of them around, but pretty much all of them stopped for this bathroom line. And someone was like, "Okay, ladies, what's your secret?" They're like, "A little bit of pixie dust and lots of Botox." Um, they were hysterical. Like, one of them had, like, a blow up walker, a couple of them had canes. They were so funny, because then some of the videos of them later, of them, like, dancing and whatnot, and just seeing them, they were hilarious. Like, they really bought into, dressing up like grannies. It was very, very funny.
Yeah, the funniest thing I saw, so they had just passed us. We were kind of coming up on the finish line. We were kind of backstage again.
Mhm,
And there was another woman running in front of us who was probably closer to our parents' age.
mhm.
And she the people running as the grannies were like our age.
Yeah.
They were not actually grannies. And they ran up to this woman who was running right in front of us and said, "You know, my daughter signed us up for this race and then she ditched us," or something. And I was just like, "Oh my goodness."
I forgot about that. That was so funny.
I was like, a bold statement to a stranger.
They were a hoot. I really enjoyed them.
And she
So
thought it was hilarious, so it
oh, yeah.
was very funny.
You gotta know your audience.
Mhm.
Something I noticed is actually in the bathroom, there were little towel animals in the corners, like, in the bathroom, on the near the sinks, I
You're
mean.
telling me I did a good job not going to the bathroom and I missed out on this gem?
Oh, yes, there were towel animals. I was very excited to see them, because I was surprised I had never noticed those during a pee break in a Run Disney race
Mhm.
before. Um, but yeah, they were cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had a lot of quite long lines, because Hannah
Yeah.
had gone ahead, because
Yeah.
I told her, like, "You can continue on."
I got to be the one who held the line for once.
The fairy,
Yeah, we made it to basically the line started in Canada. It ended not in Canada, I don't think.
almost in the
Yeah,
UK.
almost in the UK. And we waited for a bit. It was ferries while we were in line. And then, like, right as we were getting to the front, they were s it was people had formed, like, this second line because they knew the fairies were swapping with Maleficent,
Mhm.
and they wanted Maleficent, not the fairies, which is wild because a lot of people want the fairies. I already had my fairy photo, so I guess I was kind of in the same camp, but so then they were not only had they formed this, like, secondary line kind of, which was not endorsed by the cast members, they were also, like, calling down the line, telling other people if they did want the fairies because they were going away to, like, come to the front of the line and get in line, and this big group of girls got out of line to go to the front, and then as soon as they get there, the cast member is like, "They're swapping. No, you can't take a photo with the fairies. Go back to the end of the line if you want a photo with the fairies." And or any photo. Like, there's no, like, just
Mm,
get back where you were. It was go to the end of the line, and I was like, "Okay,
no.
we're not doing that." They were trying to respectfully try and find where they were, and I was like they were only, like, maybe a few people behind us, and no one around
Yeah,
us seemed to care, and I was like, "Just get in line here. This is
yeah,
silly."
yeah, cut us.
So, yeah, they hopped in, and we got our photos with Maleficent. I had a nice stare down, evil stare down with her. And they caught it in both the photos with your phone and the photo pass, and it's hilarious.
I love it. Yeah, she's so good.
It's possibly one of my favorite. That one besides Bowler Hat Man, that's one of my favorite character photos I've ever gotten, but just I like the ones where I think of something better than just smiling with the
Mhm.
character, like, those are my favorite ones.
Yeah, like fighting over a wand or something. Yeah,
Yes.
that yeah, that was so good. That was such a great character stuff, and it's so funny that people were like, "Yeah, no, I don't want the fairies," because we were in that camp, obviously, but because it's so weird. Because usually it's like, "Fairies." But after that, you, exit Epcot, go on your lovely stroll around the Yacht and Beach Club and Boardwalk. I took a
Mhm.
picture with Puppet Runner, who was right by mile 4. Love Puppet Runner. He and Remy were dressed for the occasion,
Mhm.
his little Remy puppet.
His whole family was there.
Yes, the whole puppet family. Loved that. Loved that. But I always, say hello to Puppet Runner when I can. We made our way around. We got a Guardians virtual queue. Oh, that was the day you couldn't get in on it. Oops.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
I
I
couldn't. It's fine. I basically forgot to make all of my park reservations, and so Natalie made them well, that one I tried I think I might have panicked done it myself, but then Natalie made all the rest of mine for me to make sure I had a reservation and could get in anywhere. And but I couldn't get in because I had a reservation for the wrong park, which I feel
Mhm.
like has it always been that way? Because I always thought the first one, because you didn't have to be in the park, you could get one for any ride, but I guess not.
No, I think that maybe that was when it was, like, lightning lanes. You could
Yeah,
actually
maybe.
look for a different park or obviously a good to go day if you
Mhm.
still had a reservation that you had made, you could still do it, but, because I got it for, my cousin Maz was on her way down. I was like, "Why was it a multiple person thing?" She was on her way down, her flight was, like, just taking off, so
Mhm.
I copped it for both of us, even though we did not end up riding together. We'll talk about that for next week's episode. A little bit of Epcot chaos, but that was one of those, like, like time, like like
Oh,
on the
yeah. I
boardwalk.
pulled up I pulled up the world clock. This is our we're not gatekeeping, this is the secret, people. Whenever you actually have to get into a virtual queue again, which is possibly springtime, um, one person, or if you have 2 devices, you're gonna pull up the world clock that counts down in seconds, and then one person is going to have their device. You're gonna get to the 5-second mark and start counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. As soon as they say 1, refresh, refresh, refresh. You're gonna mash that button like you're playing Smash Bros. Mash, 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 mash,
Or Flappy Bird.
or Flappy Bird.
Remember Flappy Bird?
You're gonna spam that button like your life depends on it, and then if you get lucky, you might be like us and get, like, a single digit group.
Yeah, which was insane,
Yeah,
but
because during the 10K, you got your Guardians, and then we signed up for Tiana's during the TAF, skipping ahead a little bit.
that was the 5K.
Was it?
Yeah, that was the 5K where I was
Okay,
like, "I know I got a
backtracking.
I got a really low group."
Mhm, it was
Um,
like 8.
yes, which I'm like, "Wow, last couple days of the virtual queue," and I'm, like, on it.
Mhm,
But yeah, that was actually the day before. I was like, "I know that we got one together." But
mhm,
yeah, that was the day
which we
prior.
didn't actually take advantage of because it was so cold. We didn't wanna
Yeah,
get wet.
yes, correct. But, on the way back into the parks and then out, the Spaceship Earth photo stop wasn't in the World Celebration Gardens
Mhm,
this time, and it was later in the course than normal, not, like, significantly so, but because they had a photo stop, right when you're on the bridge and you're starting to get to the big flower beds and whatnot, going into not Future World, but, they had one there, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, whatever." They'll have the other one that's a little closer to the Walt statue. They
mhm,
didn't have one there this time, so it was further up, like, if you're exiting Epcot to the left of Spaceship Earth, there's, like, bathrooms and a gift shop. It's, like,
mhm.
was around those
Where the
bathrooms.
lockers are that I don't know who uses, but they're
Yeah,
right by the lockers.
yes. So, they were up there, and it was a really cute shot. It was just, like, a little bit of a surprise.
Mhm,
That it was there, and then on the way out after we got that shot, there were, the drummers, which are
mhm.
really, really cool. I love hearing them. They were really amped, really hype. But then we finished up that good old 10K, and,
That was
yeah, there we waited for Jafar post race
Yep.
because he was, like, the creepy plastic mask
His
Jafar.
face, yeah, is, unsettling.
Yes, we had to get him. Aladdin theme race, kinda had to get him.
It wasn't as bad as I thought, honestly. The line went really fast.
Yeah, it went pretty quick, all things considered. There was somebody with a dog in front of us. The dog
That
was
poor
really cute.
dog.
Yeah, the dog was like
Shivering.
yeah. It did have a cute little Argyle sweater on, though. It was so cute. I love dogs, um, as one knows. But on this day, we headed back to the expo,
Mhm.
as it was the
I
last
joined
day.
Natalie for the ritual boot wearing.
Indeed. Indeed we did, or indeed she did. So it was like kind of the, like, do boots first, KT tape first, and when we got to the boot area, the guy had said, he's like, "Oh, just come back in about 20 minutes," but then
Mhm.
by that point, a line had formed, and I kinda get why, like, we then had to wait in the line still,
Mhm.
because then I was like, "Okay, cool, I'm gonna go get KT taped real quick." And, got taped, had my knees taped as normal, and then I had my, foot, because actually, at this point, my foot wasn't really bothering me at all, but leading up to Princess, I had had this, like, weird, like, outer foot, it was more tightness and uncomfortableness than necessarily pain. I'm
Mhm.
like, "You know what? Can't hurt for me to get this taped." And, so was a taped up disaster. I always do my knees because it just helps with the blood flow, around there, and not that I really have that bad of knee problems, but now it sits in the ritual, so it has to be done. And, um, went back to the boots. Um, they're really, like, this set of boots, because they're the vendor that has, like, it's like gold is more their thing. It's not
Mhm.
Therabody, because I don't know if
Black
Therabody
and
was
gold.
actually there.
No,
Yes.
Therabody wasn't there this weekend.
Okay, because they were for marathon weekend, but I waited for these boots during marathon weekend as well because there was no line.
Mhm.
And, they're,
They were selling them hard. They were
they
making the
were
pitch. They were convincing too.
they were pretty convincing, because this is the only one I've noticed that really works on your feet.
Mhm.
Because I'm in the of course, I'm in the market for a new toy, and, of course I am. But anyway, but these ones I feel like work your feet the best. And I'm starting to think about it. You can use your HSA funds for it, but I
Mhm.
couldn't,
Or FSA if you have one of those. Either one.
yes. Yes, I was like, "Hmm," and they're, like, half off if you buy them at the expo.
Which puts them,
S
like, at the same price point as, like, a Therabody, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, still expensive, still definitely a pretty big thing, but I definitely recommend going to the, even if you're not trying to, like, do part of your little ritual, whatever, I'd recommend going and checking it out, because, it can only kind of, hel and also, obviously, I'm somebody who, like, I've been trying to compare and contrast the different type of boots that, like, are around before I purchase them, because they are expensive. But, but then there's also the Sharper Image Costco ones that
Mhm.
hashtag, Tony, the Costco influencer, um, has, like, I, like, had in my cart, but then, like, the sale ended, so now I'm waiting for those to come back in. Anyway, but yeah, did the boots, got the KT tape, talked to Jeff, and, this kind of time the conversation was more of a, "Hey, Jeff, we're not looking to PR this weekend, but I am trying to execute a race plan." Um, just kind of getting into, kind of mentioned before that, when you, like, race the marathon pretty hard, take some time for your body to recover from that.
Yep.
Weird, right?
Mhm.
And then when you take on something like dopey, it takes your body to recover. So my running during February was a little less. Then I did get one double digit in, or digit one in, wasn't even a back to back. And, just, ice and snow and stuff like that
Mhm.
too. Kind of, we weren't running quite as much as normal, but the foot
Mhm.
pain was got pretty much as soon as I got to Walt Disney World, like, got through, like, my first full day, I was like, the foot stuff all gone. I was just all gone. So maybe it was just like tightness, and it just, I don't know, it was mad or something. But, I did do part of my little ritual and talk to Jeff, got another picture. And then we headed back into the merch building to get the number pictures,
Mhm.
and kind of
You
browse
got a
around a
bunch
little.
of them, didn't you?
I did everything but 13.1, and went,
Oh.
"Oh, I'll get 13.1 on my way at the race tomorrow.
Yeah, no.
I didn't, because then the line was long there too, so, oh well. Um,
They got some cute ones with the 19.3 though.
yes, those were cute. And then actually before we even left that part of the building, I had, my mom loves a jacket, so I
Mhm.
had purchased 2 sizes for her because I wasn't sure which one would fit her better, and I had the other size with me because I prefer to return things to the expo so the fishy goes where it needs to be. And I was talking to somebody who saw Hannah's jacket on, and she's like,
Mhm.
"Oh, they were out of my size by the time I got there." I'm like, "Well, I'm about to go return an extra small. I have it in my bag." And she's like, "Oh, really?" And then she's like, "Oh, like, I don't know." Like, and her daughter's like, "No, mom, like, you wanted this." Like,
The she was like, "I'll buy it if you don't."
yes. So I instead of returning it, I just and I obviously gave to her what I paid for it. And I was like, "Well, I'm an AP." She's like, "Well, I am too." I'm like, "Oh yeah, duh,
I
because
mean,
this is
it's
the
a
AP
PayP
jacket."
jacket.
I was like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna like charge you like no, like it's literally what I paid." So
Pulled up
she
the
then
receipt and everything.
yes, pulled up the receipt. She Venmoed me for it, and then I'd like to say it was one less stop, but we still went into the merch building again
Mhm.
anyway.
Look,
But to
your
go
mom
peek
likes to
around,
look at stuff. If you ever need someone to help you get free samples, Natalie's mom's where it's at. She's really
that
good
is very
at
true.
going to booths, and people remember her. We went up to the Mega Babe booth in the vendor building, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, we just saw you." Like, I think they remembered her from marathon weekend,
Oh, they
and
sure did.
and, oh my gosh, it was hilarious, and she was getting stuff, and they were like, "Oh, have you tried this? Here, have this sample. Oh, you haven't tried this? Here, have this sample." And she just was getting all these samples, and then she bequeathed many of them to me.
'Cause, yeah, the MegaPay booth is great because
Mhm.
they give you, like, a pretty generous sized, like,
It's
sample
like the
stick.
size you have to pay for with other brands.
Yes. So, I
I think
definitely
it's
like them. They're
bigger
so
than
nice.
my mini Squirrel's Nut Butter that I actually carry in my vest with
Mhm.
me. I think
I think so.
it's bigger than that, but not so big that I, like, wouldn't carry it. It's the same size as the Body Glide Her Mini.
Yes.
I think it's almost identical packaging, honestly.
Yes. It's a little bit bigger than, like, the Bodyglide foot one,
Mhm.
but, yeah, so definitely check them out. They are great. They're very, very nice. It's a pretty good, product too. Not sponsored. But yeah, no, my mom loves the expo. Like I think she went back during marathon weekend more
I
than I did.
I think she
Like
would go regardless. Well, I mean, she does
like
go
regardless of
regardless of if she's running anything. Like, she just comes because she's here supporting you, and she just wants
yeah.
to go look at the things.
Yes, she does. Like kind of like building up to like when she will be kind of full force again because she's like,
Yeah.
I want to do a half. I'm like, so she goes, I think especially how much hype up, amp up running through the castle. She's like, I want to do that. I'm like, oh, but it's great. Yeah, she's a because she was like, "I'm gonna go to the expo fewer times this time than marathon weekend,"
Okay.
um, which I guess technically yes, because there were fewer days to spread it over. But on to half marathon morning, we so we were in a one bedroom at Saratoga. I got a fabulous deal on. I still am shooketh that I got it, and I got it not that long out either. My mom heard nothing when we got up that morning because I felt like kind of like when it's like the big show, like
Mhm.
I gotta make a little more noise. I'm gonna be as quiet as possible, but, like, I gotta make a little more noise and stuff. Like, I gotta make sure you know, I'm ready.
Mhm.
But she heard nothing, whatsoever. Not even the door closing.
And
But
it
on
kind
our way
of that door, I don't know if it was, like, the breezeway situation or, like, how the airflow went, but that door was a loud close if you didn't, like,
yeah.
hold it to close, and you don't normally for hotels because they have that slow, spring thing going
Mhm.
on. It was loud.
Yeah, it was. So, we got to the race. Oh, one more thing from 10K day I forgot to mention is that sorry, we're, like, all over the place, we met up on the course with 2 people I had met during Wine and Dine weekend.
Mhm.
On the bus, and I it was, like, one of that was the first time I had ever, like, plugged the podcast to somebody because we were just kinda talking generally about, like, I have like my philosophy is that everybody has like a place in Run Disney and how much I enjoy that it's so inclusive of different people and different speeds and whatnot. I was like, yeah, we talk about that a lot on the podcast. And, we had like mutual follows going. They're like, yeah, we'll check it out. Well, we saw them on the 10K course
Yeah.
and I had stickers in my pouch and I was able to give stickers. So that was great to see them again. Also be remembered too. That was interesting. Um,
Yeah, so if you
because
see us in the wild, most of the time, at least at Disney, we have stickers.
yes, yes, can't say that, like, if I'm connecting through Charlotte, that I'm gonna have stickers unless it's to and from Disney, but maybe, I don't know.
If you see me with my work backpack, I probably have stickers on me.
So, on to the half day. Um, we before the race, and that's why this reminded me of it, we met up with KG and one of our listeners, Anne, in the pre-race area, and we're able to chat for a little bit.
Mhm. We failed miserably on our idea of having, like, a pre-race meetup for y'all because, we woke up late a lot and we're just yeah, we were bad at timing.
Yeah, attempts were made, and it was one of those, like, also, like, not, like, letting people know in advance, like, then that, like, kinda requires, like, you gotta check Instagram or the Facebook group. It's like, it was one of those, like, we're here, like,
Mhm.
in terms of we'll get better eventually about that, because it was basically like a hover behind, like, the rise and run area. Because I was like, "Oh, well, here we go." Like a hover behind,
I mean, we are
and
literally we weren't right next to them. The
yeah, but so that was great, it
you
was great to just
photobombed one of their photos.
sure did. I mean, I was like
We
I was
listen,
like,
it's fine.
"Oh, yeah," and it was definitely a bunch of girls in the Run Dopey group, too, who I've, like, gotten to, know a little bit too, so I was like, "Yeah, that's fine." I was like, "I could either have, like, weird, like, awkward, like, face in this, or I could at least, like, smile and be like, 'Hi,' uh, and, like, be pleasant in it." But we then
We had a good time
separated.
talking with them, though.
Oh, yeah, that was so great. Man, and I had the same shirt on. We both
Mhm.
had, the Crowned Athletics, Mega Rush shirt on.
Mhm. You guys were twinning, it was very cute.
Was. And
Yeah.
KG was, continued her streak of comfy princesses with
Mm.
Comfy Princess Aurora, which love.
I feel like that could have been I mean, that also would have required planning. This entire weekend was, like, absolute chaos, and that was represented in my lack of costume.
Happens, happens. Um, last year for Princess, I legitimately had, like I basically brought, like, an extra set of costume pieces because 'cause I'm like, I don't know what's going on," and then I didn't really even costume for the half. I wore a skirt and then a cute little visor
Mhm.
with a, crown on it because I was like, "Well, I guess, like, if you stretch a little, it's just like this is kinda like a glam goofy, I guess." If you stretch, because then I asked people, like, "What do you think I'm dressed as?" They're like, "Goofy-ish?" I'm like, "Yeah, well, can roll with that." Like a Princess Goofy, like, I really not committed at all to that, but yeah, it's fine. Um, but we then kinda separated to go into our corrals. I was Mega Ra also, by the way, if that was not clear.
Mhm.
I got a skirt from Tomorrowland Productions, LLC, and I wanna kinda shout them out because we had a little miscommunication about, like, when their princess orders cut off. And, because it wasn't on the website, because 'cause I'm pretty good about checking, and she was like, "Oh, basically an, 'Oh, shoot, I will drop it off at your hotel.'" So that was really great of them, and the skirt is an absolute unit. It is beautiful. It is so
Mhm.
many layers of fabric. Um, it's absolutely beautiful, and I can't wait to wear it again. But yeah, definitely good, great. Like when it was like the little miscom with that of like, I'm like, "Oh, wait, I'm really good at checking usually." Like, and she's like, "Oh, shoot, our, like, auto thing didn't switch over," which now by the time you'll hear this, you'll be past due for or for springtime surprise orders with them because the second was their cutoff. But, definitely it was a beautiful skirt. I did, kind of make one of the, mistakes I tell people not to make where I had actually never worn that crowned top in a longer run, just shorter runs because, when I bought it, it was winter and yeah. So that actually I was like, "Okay, how bad could it be? How many people wear crowned all the time?"
Mhm.
It was a flow. I was like, "How many people wear this all the time?" Like, "I'm probably gonna be fine."
The
Um,
tank wasn't the problem.
the tank was not the problem. Also and I knew and I foresaw this, as soon as I put on my vest, was my vest I had never worn over a tank top, my
Mhm.
newer vest. I was like, "Okay, another one of those, okay, how bad could it be?"
Mm.
Um, that one was a little bit worse of, like, I'd never worn it over tank top, it's a little smaller, because I sized down. So, that one we had a little bit of some I lubed up as best as I could, and, that was about as good as we could do, where I had never worn that for a long I'd worn it for a long efforts, I wore it for the marathon,
Mhm,
but that was over, like, long sleeves because it was cold.
mhm.
So, here I didn't have long sleeves under my tank, but in terms of the race itself, I'm gonna give you the floor first.
Well, uh, chaos ensued because I had no plan. Um, legit, I talked to the Pacers at one of the days at the expo about, like, seeing who the Pacers would be in my general time of what I normally run and what would be, like, a feasible time to maybe run, knowing that my training I obviously wasn't, like, completely untrained because we had just done dopey and, like, that was a lot of training, but I hadn't run much, leading up to Princess, and but I never made a decision about what I was gonna do. So, we got into the corrals, and I saw Bob again, and while I was while I was in the corrals with Bob, was chatting with some people, and we're making our way up to the start line, and then KG appears out of nowhere. And, didn't I don't know why I didn't realize before that we were in the same corral because KG left before we did. We stayed behind for a little bit longer, and so then I was just asking her, like, if she had a plan, and she was like, "The plan is to have fun and to finish." I was like, "Okay, that's a great plan." I was like, "Guess that's what we're doing." And I was really happy with that. So KG and I walked the entire first mile, maybe a little bit past that. It was super crowded, which I remembered from marathon weekend that the first 2-ish miles of the half course are pretty crowded. I think pretty much regardless of where you start, just because of sort of the path they choose. Um, so we enjoyed that. We were going much slower than the cutoff pace. Like, I think that first mile, we were in the somewhere in the 20s. Very, very leisurely walk for us, and we didn't take any photos. We were just chugging along, talking, and then we got to a point where she was like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna start." She wasn't, like, gonna be racing, but she was gonna listen to a Peloton class that was gonna basically keep her intervals for her. And at that point, I was like, "Okay, cool. Well, I'm just gonna, like, see what happens," kinda thing, and started running and decided, like, there still wasn't a plan at this point. It was just, "Let's just run a speed that feels good, and see where that takes me." And I took off. I was going. I wasn't looking at my watch. I wasn't looking at anything. I was trying not to let the heart rate number on my watch sway me into my effort level. I was really just like, "Do I feel good?" And I was wearing a long sleeve, so I was like, I obviously don't wanna feel hot or anything, it's way too early for that to happen, so that's kind of how I dialed in what I was doing. It was still crowded for a mile or so. Once you get to, like, the Magic Kingdom sign, it opens up, or, like, right before Magic Kingdom, like, transportation, it, like, opens up, but then it gets crowded again as you go past the Poly and the Flow. So, it got crowded again, but right before we got to the Poly, I could hear the 240 pacer group, which was Cece and who was the other one? Natalie, who was the other one?
KD,
Thank you.
Pacer Force. Uh,
So they were right behind me. I could hear them. And then all of a sudden, like at one point, I was standing directly next to, I think, Cece. And I was like, oh, shoot, they're catching me. And they were 240. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. So I started before them. If they're near me, like I have a shot. Actually, if I can, and I was feeling good. I was like, I can maintain this. Like, if I can stay with them, then I can go faster than I did for my previous half PR, which I don't know if it counts or not, but it's the first half of my Chicago, which is the only part that went well. So I kind of count it, but also it wasn't a standalone race. So, like, there's nowhere that says I ran this distance in this. I mean, you can see the splits, but that was kind of my benchmark of like, okay, could I do this or not? I was like, well, I still don't want to do anything crazy, but I'm just going to try and stick with them. There was a minor few minutes of panic when they were basically on top of me, like, they were catching up to me because they were I could hear them, but they weren't with me. I was ahead of them for a while, and then they were on top of me, and I was like, "Oh, no, I'm slowing, like, they're gonna pass me, this isn't gonna happen," and I started to run a little bit faster, and I felt like I was dying for a minute. I was like, "Oh, no, this is a bad sign," like, I don't wanna, like, run outside of what I can do, but I also wanna try, so I was going for it, and then as soon as we entered Magic Kingdom, I never heard them again. I don't know what happened, like, I don't know if I don't know how, because it's not like I sprinted away from them, my pace didn't change, but I think what was happening is that they were compensating from the first 2 miles and for the crowdedness of that section before you get to Magic Kingdom. I think they were running faster than their set pace to,
Mhm.
catch up, because I heard that a lot of the pace groups were having to do that because it was so hard to maintain pace in the crowd, and basically what happened was I just never slowed down, I just stuck with that pace, and so then they were just gone. And when I got to the castle and I realized they weren't behind me anymore, and I did some, like, rough math, I was like, "Okay, if they're right behind me, but I started before them, probably not too far in front of, like, maybe, like, a few minutes or something, because I think they were in the beginning of the corral behind me, then I have a chance of, like, being near 240, of being
Mhm.
around that time with whatever buffer I have." And so was like, "You know what? If there's a chance." I was roughly remembering thinking that my Chicago was like 2:45 or something, which is not, by the way. That is not what my Chicago time was. I don't know why I thought that's what it was. I was like, "Okay, that gives me a little bit of time, but I don't have time for, like, a castle photo because I wanna maintain that." So I just, like, bypassed it, didn't even do a drive by, try and take a selfie or anything. I just kept chugging, going, 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 and I was feeling awesome. I didn't start to, like, feel any kind of, like, discomfort or like I was slowing down or anything or fatigue until mile 8-ish, 8 or 9, I would say. And by then I was like, "Okay, I'm getting close to only having a 5K left." That back part is all a blur, to be honest, because I didn't stop for any characters and I was just going, and I had, like, my music on my shocks, and I was just in the zone. I do remember seeing the balloon ladies as I went under the overpass that you go over before you get to Magic Kingdom. So, I've kind of like, I have lost my fear of the balloon ladies ever since marathon. I think since marathon weekend, honestly, like, or maybe even wine and dine, of just like knowing that I'm good and I'm having, like, if I'm just having a good time, that, like, there's no need. So it kind of brought me a little bit of joy to see them going, and I could see there was a few people who were right behind them who were, each one of them had a bike person, like, riding along next to them, and you could tell, I mean, granted, it's from a distance, but they all seemed, like, still very motivated, and that was really nice to see, and I was like, "If they can do it, I can do it. We're doing it. Go, go, go." And I think that was the point, like, when I passed the castle and I was coming out of Magic Kingdom, that I was like, "Okay, we are going for this. We are going to keep running this speed. It's going to be okay." And yeah, I kept going. I got to like mile 8 or mile 9, and I did start to feel like I was slowing a little bit, but I think that was mostly perception, because if you look at my splits actually afterwards, I had a negative split for every single 5K. Granted, the first one is like way skewed because KG and I were walking for that first mile, but if you look at all the other 5Ks, every single one is faster than the last, so I really did a great job. They're not, like, massively, it's, like, seconds, but so I did a great job maintaining pacing and still, like, getting faster, and I was able to do a sprint finish. That's a little, jumping ahead. I took some caffeine at mile, like, 9.5 roughly, because I remember knowing that 10 was coming up, thinking, "Okay, that's a little more than a 5K." I probably waited too long, but I went ahead and did it because that was when I felt like I was slowing down. I was like, "Maybe this will help counter that." This was also the time when I realized I had to pee. So I was having this mental battle of, "I'm slowing down, I have to pee. It's hard to keep going because I have to pee." And just like, do I go? If I go pee, am I gonna lose my opportunity at a PR? If I don't pee, am I gonna go even slower because I just can't run because I have to pee? How many times can I say I have to pee? And So basically I just like countered. I took the caffeine, which helped with the like fatigue for sure. Kicked in the last like started to kick in like right at the end, which is why I think I should have taken it sooner, probably more like halfway through the race. And by the time I was like, you're coming down the highway, you're going to have to go up that on ramp before Epcot. There were so many water stops that I wasn't anticipating. I don't know why, like, I completely blanked on where they all were in my head, even though we reviewed them and look at the maps and stuff ahead of time. I just stopped taking more hydration at that point because I needed to pee. I was like, I just convinced myself, as per the rule, we do not use porta potties, so you just have to make it to the park. All you have to do, and I gave myself permission at that point. I was like, "You're gonna keep running as best you can, but if you get to the park and you still have to pee," which I anticipated that I would, "then you can go, and you can break the rule. You can go to the first bathroom stop if you have to, like, you could do whatever you need to, but in the meantime, you're not gonna make this worse by continuing to chug like, cups of Gatorade." And so I stopped. I didn't take any more water from water stops the rest of the race. I still had plenty of water in my vest, so I knew I was okay if I needed to take some fuel or whatever. But I think that made a big difference because by the time we made it back to the park area where I could have gone to the bathroom in a real toilet, um, didn't need to pee anymore. The feeling went away. So I guess I had like rebalanced my hydration levels or whatever. And I finished strong. I sprinted. I gave Jeff a high five and which was really exciting. And yeah, I ran across the finish line and texted you because you finished before I did. And I think I shocked you with what time I finished. I finished in 2 hours and 40 minutes, which was a roughly 11-minute PR off of my Chicago half, which is debatable if it's a real half or not.
I had fact checked it too, where I was
She
like,
had to because I was delirious. I was like, "I don't think I made it. I don't think I got a PR. I don't think I did it."
she's like, I think my it's like 2:41. I'm like, "Okay, well, that's already a PR." And then I was like, "Let me fact check this." And I was like, "You didn't just PR, you absolutely smashed your PR. You because it was 251, and that's counting the Chicago. So if you count the other halves that you've done,
Mhm.
it was an even bigger PR,
Yeah.
ma'am." That was fun to be able to break the news to him, like, "Oh, no, 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 you didn't just get a PR, you smashed it."
Mhm. I crushed it. I was so excited. I texted Ben about it. I had Ben checking too because I didn't know, like, who was gonna see the message first. I was like, "I don't know what just happened." I was freaking out. I forgot to pack my butt bag. I packed it for the 5K and the 10K and forgot to pack it for the half, so then I'm, like, carrying all this stuff, and I've never felt like I must have had the biggest smile on my face. I was so excited, like, even more excited than I was for the PR during marathon weekend. And so many people were telling me congratulations and stuff as normal, but, like, it just felt so special and so
Mhm.
exciting, and I texted Kristen to let her know. By the time she saw it, we were already on a bus because she was like, "Come hug me, I must congratulate you," and I was like, "I can't." But it was so good. It was really nice to have a not that I don't love running with Ben because I do love running with Ben, but it was exciting to run a race for me and just be able to decide for myself, like, what I wanted to do. Ben is
Mhm.
faster than me, so, like, Ben's never been the dictating force as to why I couldn't run faster, but I don't know, there was just something very freeing of it all being, like, up to me and, like, just going for it.
Love that. We had just talked prior to that about how I don't know, was it on the bus or maybe it was like, like you're like, "Oh, I think I'm still so far away from a POT."
Yes, I did. No, we had talked about it with Anne in the,
Okay, that's what I thought.
before and KG, but, like, yeah, because in my head, I was still, like, well over 20 minutes away from proof of time, which I was. Um, and I was like, "That's gonna take me a while to, like, slowly chip away at that." But, yeah, now I'm only, like, 10 minutes away, basically, and I feel like if I train as hard as I did this past year for Dopey and, like, really with all my like, and more dedicated, I think every year I get more like, solid with my training and I'm able to commit more and more, I actually do more of what I say I'm gonna do, you add more things, you get better at it. I feel like it is in the cards for next year to be able to obtain a proof of time.
Heck yeah, it is. Also, keep in mind that this was at the end of a challenge weekend, right?
Yeah.
Like, so if you also, pull up for a standalone half,
Mhm.
I'm sure like that's like a
Another reason
it's
I've been itching, I think, for like, local races and stuff is
mhm,
that, like, I'm like, "Well, if I don't have anything else to, like, train for on the docket and I can just it's just there waiting, like, let's see what other stuff I can put out there before I get to, run Disney running again."
exactly. Exactly. So, I think you're a lot close as I said before this race, I think you're a lot closer than you think. Because then, there's, like it's almost like a weighted GPA
Oh
where
my
it's, like,
gosh.
triggering, but, like, it's almost like when you weight the GPA, it's like, "Oh, you get a little bump just"
I also think I'm still kind of like, I wouldn't qualify myself as, like, a full-on newbie anymore, but, they talk about newbie gains when you start, like, a new anything. It's the scale of increase happens a lot faster than
Mhm,
later. I do still think I'm in, like, the newbie gains period when it comes to, like, time with racing
mhm,
because I also wasn't really, like, pushing myself in that way.
right.
So I was like, I feel like if that was a goal of mine to get faster, like, I think big things could happen.
I think so. I know.
All
So,
right.
that's why I need you to have the floor first. I'm like, "You gotta we have to."
Tell everyone about your goal. You actually had some plans. I had none.
I did. So, as I've kinda mentioned, the sack of bones we call my body, broken. No, not
You're
actually, thank
so
God.
hard on yourself.
No, I mean, I just felt, like, crinkly, like, I felt like my butt bag, like, just crinkly going into this. So, I knew that my, like, A plus goal was, like, oh, as I call it, renewing my POT, and that was I don't wanna say, like that was the A goal. That was like, I'm gonna walk out of this and feel like I'm
Mhm,
gonna walk out of this the way I feel like I do when I do PR.
mhm,
So that was and also, if you kind of, recall to my identity crisis of I knew this would result in my married name.
mhm,
I talked to even to my boss when I got my bib. I'm like, "If this results in O'Malley, I feel like I need to go for speed."
mhm,
And because they had already printed the bibs by the time Disney had gotten the updated name, so I didn't have to worry about the whole POT in my maiden name, bib in this name type thing. I know I have heard that they're very good about fixing it. Just a little jump scare when you get your bib number. Because if they can't verify it, I know how to submit my name. It's like MN, like with oil in it. So I just haven't, it's just going to be a trip to Runner Relations. It's not a big deal at all for me. But I'm like, well, how cool would it be if then now I have something under my new name to avoid that situation? Also, when it's a Disney race and like, you have to submit your results, by the way. You do have to, you can't just say, oh, I ran it at Disney. You do have to submit your results the same way. But, I like to think that it's like, oh, yeah, this is for sure definitely
mhm,
USATF certified. This is definitely all the other parameters. Anyway, that was my A goal. And what I had talked to Jeff about. So I got out. I was actually, like, cruising okay, definitely some of the congestion, but I'm like, this congestion is okay. It's making me not my own worst enemy, it's slowing me down where I need to,
mhm,
as one does. Kind of am, like, going along, chugging along, like, pacing pretty solidly. The 220 pacers passed me around mile, like, 2.5. We're getting close to the Magic Kingdom sign. And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Hmm, maybe we'll do a little something, something here." And then I'm like, "Okay, dummy, what did you say like 2 weeks ago?" You were like, "Yeah, I held on to the 215 pacers," and that ended up it wasn't a mistake because I think I needed to be pushed like that, and I think I needed to know I could be pushed like that, but I was hurting a little later in the race. So, when it started to feel because then I was trying to also, like, time my intervals up to them, and then, like, that wasn't working out, and then they just started really pulling ahead. I'm like, "You know what? This is just not meant to be. That's okay." that is okay. Kind of learned, as Candace said after the fact, that they definitely were trying to make up for some of that lost time in the
Mhm.
course congestion. So that made me feel a little bit better about it.
Mhm.
Because I think it might have been like two ish intervals I was with the pack. And then all of a sudden I was like, I was like, listen, you do learn from your mistakes. And I think this is a mistake if you try to hold them.
Mhm.
Um, so kind of let them go. And I'm like, you know what? If I find them again, kind of like the 5:15 pacers during the marathon, I find them again. I didn't, but the thought was there. And so I'm chugging along, going along through get past the Magic Kingdom toll plaza sign. I
Mhm.
get up near the Poly, get through the Grand Flow. Um, Obviously enjoyed the electrical water pageant as always. They were telling people also to kind of get off they had like a little bit more like if you're going to take a picture, please step aside like
Mhm.
over these like hay bales. I appreciated that like little bit more better direction.
People
Um,
were real struggling though to reemerge.
yes, because it's nice and narrow.
Mhm.
As we were getting to the boat dock area to the Grand Flow, got a good chuckle because there was like caution runners. The course narrows ahead.
Mhm.
And like love all the announcements, but somebody else made the joke of like, "Gosh, guys, you think it narrows?" I'm like, "No, I don't think so." So I got a chuckle over the people around me, and I was running near people who it was their first time about to enter the Magic Kingdom in a race. It was their first princess, first, like, Run Disney race.
Aw.
It was a couple, and I was like, because I overheard them like, "This is so cool," and we're outside the train station, haven't even really passed where you would tap in to get into the park. I was like, "Oh, is it your first time?" They're like, "Yeah." It's like, "Is it yours?" I'm like, "No, it's not, but it's still so special." And I was like, "Yeah, I just did Dopey last month." They're like, "We wanna do that next year." I'm like, "Oh, you totally should." I was like, "It's amazing."
It's so nice to see and hear people experiencing that for the first time because I think when you get really into this community, sometimes you can get a little jaded about the
Mhm.
stuff that we don't like and we forget just how magical it was the first time we experienced it. So that's really special.
Oh, absolutely. It's phenomenal, and it was so special running down Main Street. As always, always I think I did whack one of the, like, tap to power up,
Aw.
things. I always try to whack 'em, especially when it's the mushroom, like the Mario mushroom, gotta do it. And just running down Main Street, just kinda breeze through. I actually got the first time I've ever gotten a good photo of, like, running down Main Street,
Mm.
like, where you could see Main Street in the back. I actually got a good one there. But it was just phenomenal. I'm just, cruising along. Around this time is when I decide my to start FaceTiming everybody I know. So I accidentally butt FaceTimed Hannah.
Mhm.
I butt FaceTimed my spouse, Mr. Natalie, 5 times, unfortunately for him. And I felt really bad because obviously, as my spouse or as spouses, I get around the do not disturb blocker.
Yep.
But I also because I didn't pull my phone out until, close to mile 11 or after mile 11 after that. So I didn't know I did that.
Yeah.
Until then, I didn't respond to his, "Hey, are you okay?" for another hour. He I guess, and then since I, like, apologized, like, a lot. And he's like, "No, I kinda just heard normal running noises, and I also assumed because Hannah was there, your mom was there, I saw your little tracker was moving, so, like, in, like, my Find My Friends." He's like, "So I assumed you weren't calling for distress, and you probably would have called someone else first because I'm in Nebraska and you're in Florida." So, I was like, "Yeah, I'm so sorry about that."
I was a
Which
little bit worried when you called me and it came through at first because I was like, "Why would she be calling me during the race?"
yeah.
And I heard the same, like, running noises. I really wish that it had been a voicemail that you could re-listen to, though, because I was talking to you through my watch, like, "Natalie, Natalie, are you okay? What's wrong? Natalie? Okay, this must be a butt dial. Okay, I'm gonna hang up now. If this isn't a butt dial, you need to say something. No? Okay, bye."
Yeah, none the wiser. I also got my cousin Sia too. So I sent a message to her. I'm like, I am so sorry. I am so sorry if I woke you up. I was in the middle of a half marathon. I guess I really wanted you to share that experience with me. She texted me back when she woke up. She's like, "No, it's all good. Didn't wake me." I'm like, "Oh, thank God." So oops. I did stop for the castle photo, and I remember. So as I'm kind of chipping away at and, like, watching time, I'm like, "Okay, like, I have to do the castle photo." Like, you always have time for the castle photo pretty much, and I was like I actually did one of the close ones. I didn't go the furthest way so I could, like, optimize my time where I ran right up and was done. So there actually are people in the background of mine. But I I was like, "Okay, I'll be upset with myself if I don't do this." And, I'm chipping away where, my estimated finish time, if I hit the first thing, it's like 2:35. I'm like, "Okay, I can work with that." Next one I hit, it's 2:32, which is right in Tomorrowland. So take a couple so maybe the FaceTimes happened after I took the couple selfies like in Tomorrowland and then I didn't look at my phone again for a while. But this was a rare occasion in which I actually had headphones on almost the whole race.
Mhm.
I took them down when I, was in the parks, but I actually I was kinda like, I kinda kneel some here.
Mhm.
I did not deploy Harmonious until we left Magic Kingdom. That's when we mean business, when I deploy Harmonious. And I, start chipping away. That third 10K is where some magic usually happens with me. And sorry, that third 5K, we're not talking about a marathon. That third 5K so hitting the 15K mark because for the most part, then once you get through a couple little, you get through the TTC that you're pretty wide open once you get back to the highway, which I love. And you can I just cook. I just I let them cook.
Mhm.
I'm kind of running a little outside my or not even or, I wouldn't say a little outside my fitness, but I'm pushing it here
Mhm.
because I'm like, okay, like we're at 9 point we're almost at 9, so that means and my watch actually timed sidebar pretty well in terms of like my overage, which I know the contemporary water canal that you run under that always messes up the GPS, and then just a little bit of wiggling, and then you do the castle shot. I don't pause, so whatever, what have you. And I'm
Mhm.
like, all right, like I have like about like a half mile till I hit this next mile marker. We'll see how we're doing. I hit the next mile marker, and my estimated finish time is like 2:29:50 something. I'm like, oh my God, I have to pretty much keep up what I just did, which is not correct math, by the way. But I pretty much have to I have to hold. And I'm like, I don't know if I can hold. We're gonna see though.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm cooking along and you're getting into those overpasses because what
Why do they
is
do
so
that to us? It's so mean.
like I get it, it's to get us into Epcot and like the downhill that going to mile 12 is nice.
Mhm.
But it's just one of those where I'm like, oh, why? Um, ouch. Where because I basically and I kind of pushed it that other 5K because I'm like, okay, I know that I'm going to naturally slow a little because it's not even the banked curve, which somehow feels like it's flatter than it used to be. It's like the ones after.
Maybe our ankles are stronger.
True. Thank you, mobility. Thank you, RunFit Mama. But I'm like going along, and my boss gave me a challenge this weekend, and it was he wanted characters from Inside Out, but he didn't want joy. Basically, he was angling for like anger or anxiety. I'm like, well, you only find them in California. So, like, I don't even know if they've made an anxiety suit yet. I know they have anger though. I'm like, well, you're going to find them in California. So I'm basically like, okay, if sadness is out, I have to get sadness. So I do a drive. As we were driving in the morning, we see, I'm like, oh my God, that's, that has to be Inside Out.
Yeah, I spotted the memory balls and I was like, "Hey, look who's out." And you were like, "No."
Cause I'm like, I need to budget time. So I do a drive by selfie. The line was short enough. I probably could have actually gone in and been close and like been fine, but I wasn't willing to risk it. Cause around this time, I'm also like, again, I'm doing hard on myself math, and I'm like, I think I'm further back than I actually am, where I'm like, it's gonna be so close and I might miss it. But then I was like, okay, I'm fueled by spite sometimes. And it's like, how mad are you gonna be if you missed a lot of these characters and then you didn't push for it?
Mhm.
Because if you gave it your all and you hit 2:30:01, then you gave it your all. But I'm like, don't count yourself out before it's ready. It's time to be counted out.
Mhm.
So I pushed it, and then like as I'm getting closer, I'm hitting mile markers, and like my overage is like lower than expected, or I'm like, okay, wait, I am a little closer than I thought. I'm like, basically, I had like a time I had to hit the 12.4 flag because they don't have a timing mat there by in order to like be pretty safe in it. They didn't have the 12.4 flag out for the
Yeah.
20 or meaning the 20K
Yeah, it
flag.
wasn't there.
It wasn't out, so I'm like, well, shoot,
That
like, is it
whole mile,
further?
Yeah,
That
from 12 to 13 felt like it just never ended. It just felt forever. And I think
forever?
part of that is because the 20K mark wasn't there. So I was like, "Where am I in this mile?"
Yeah, and plus, like, you knew exact or at least, when you walk in, you see where the 13 is, so I'm like, "Okay, well, I know where that is," so I'm like, logically, like, I have to be past 12.4.
Mhm.
So I'm just kinda sitting there, I'm like, "Okay, this is interesting, I don't know." Um, I'm, like, kind of, like I'm just, like, kind of I'm at the spot where actually by the stops outside Magic Kingdom, I was already dumping water on myself.
Oh.
Um, yeah, I was a toasty girly. I had pants on, as I usually do, with my tank top. I was dumping water on myself. Um, I wish, kind of in retrospect, that I had maybe filled my bladder about halfway because I didn't drink even like half of it.
Mhm.
But I also like how mad of myself would I have been if I, ran out of water? I would have been upset.
Mhm.
So I always like I kind of wish I had lightened the load because then I was skipping water stops because I was chugging out of my bladder
Mhm.
because I wanted to lighten
Yeah, it's
that on
really
my back.
heavy. There's a big difference between the, like, I think standard in our vest is, like, a liter and a half,
Yeah,
and then you can go up to a 1.6, but then the one we have has 2 liters, and there's a big difference between 1.5 and 2.
there sure is. I actually had my 1.6 bladder in it
Oh, did you
because
really?
I took my insulated bladder
Okay.
from home. So I actually did have that one in there, but I just still like I felt like a turtle. And as I'm like a little chafed at my pits too, I'm like,
Yeah,
great. I'm just trying to like just like maneuver things around, and um again I almost kind of gave up on that goal because I was like, I'm hurting. Like not like pain, but like I'm in the pain cave, and I'm like, how mad are you gonna be if like you're if you because like I greased myself the walk breaks I needed, but I'm like, if you completely give up and you were really close, like how you're gonna be upset with
mhm,
yourself. I know like I know you know you. So I'm cooking into the finish line. I'm like, and by that point, I know I'm there. So had almost a minute to spare. I renewed the POT. It's not POT that will get me that for marathon weekend, but that's fine. That was not the goal. Yes, in my head was like an A plus plus idea, like, oh, that'd be cool if I got like the 222.
mhm,
Yeah, that would be cool, but I knew what my body was able to do that day, and I hit A. I hit A. I did. It's okay to not get the A plus. You don't need 100%. Uh, in terms of that, and that was it felt, and it was my 10th half marathon as well. My first being at Princess in 22. So 10th half marathon, hit that goal I wanted to hit, which was that was my A goal. I was kind of like, oh God, like how did that happen?
yeah,
But yeah, I'm glad I gritted through it, even when there were times where I was like, I don't think I'm gonna hit it. I'm like, well, you like I say a lot, you owe it to yourself to try.
yeah. What do you
And for
tell
me,
yourself when you're in the pain cave, Natalie? Let the people know.
so we're bumping the Harmonious soundtrack. I know unpopular. I stand Harmonious. It's fine. Um,
'Cause I'm literally yelling at myself, so
I kind of do I like gentle parent myself almost, but like no, because it's kind of like I don't know. I try to be very balanced and not mean.
I'm not I'm not mean. I feel like I've internalized what however my swim coach used to yell at me. It's not his voice, but it's because it's my voice, my internal voice, but it's very like, "Go, Hannah, go, Hannah, go. You could do anything for another 30 seconds. Go, go, go." And I just wait and just keep telling myself that over and over again.
Yeah, because sometimes it's like, come on, like pick it up, like
Mhm.
come on, like pick it up, or like pick it up, like you got this. Like remember, this is like 1.2 or like well, not 1.2, like 1.1 left, like just a mile, like can you be uncomfortable for the next? Because then also I was doing the math of like to hit it, I knew what time I had to have on like the clock.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, like I think like if you can keep yourself under 12s, you can do that.
Mhm.
Which was a little slower than I had been running just that race. So I was like, okay, like that's enough wiggle room. Like if you need to catch the walk break, you need to do that. You need to like do what you need to do. Just just kind of like it's because I can be so hard on myself, I find myself often in these scenarios being like, "Okay, like, you're okay."
Mhm.
Like, push it, like, do it, like, get the job done. But, like, I give myself, I think, a little bit more permission. Like, I don't know, I think I'm getting better at inserting logic into it, where that I used to kind of just be, like, almost, like, animalistic of, like, like, "Go!" Where now it's like, I mean, I was cognizant enough to, like, do the math, and I was like, "Okay, if you just need, like, around 12s to, like, hit it, then you're gonna be okay." Like, you're still gonna hit it, you're still gonna be close, so maybe don't take all your buffer time, but you're gonna be close, but you can hit it. So I think I've gotten better at being a little bit more gentle with myself. But also, like, on the flip side, like, it's not like I was trying to renew a POT and this was the last opportunity I had to do it.
Mhm.
Right? Like, this was just kind of gravy for me, where it was, my it was my second fastest Disney half, with my fastest being last year at Princess, and then my third fastest overall. So it wasn't like this was like, it's either I do this now or I have to find a local half to do because my POT is expiring. It was just kind of like a let's see what I can do
Mhm.
um type of situation. It wasn't like, so that was nice because it kinda took some pressure off. I apply a good amount of pressure to myself. I apply lots of pressure to this wound. To but, yeah, I think that I don't know, I kind of like, I would love to, like, hear my own brain a little. Actually, no, that'd be scary. But I would love to kinda hear back, like, it's just especially if I have, like, some sort of tunes in of, like, what it does sound like and what, like, what that motivating, like, I don't know, because I can hear, something really gets me going, and like the harmonious soundtrack is like Godspeed this bright millennium, like Let It Come, and that's like there have been a lot of times where I've been like running toward my house and that's playing.
Mhm.
I'm actually surprised I did not employ Wicked at all because I it was a thought in my head, and then I was just like, okay, don't deviate and don't check your phone for an hour until you're walking up an overpass and you're texting your husband. I am so sorry that I accidentally called you. Like, so, yeah, so we hit it, when I was going to gear check because I don't bring a butt bag usually for, a race where am using gear check, they're like, "Do you want an extra bag?" I'm like, "That would be fantastic."
Mhm.
So I'm able to, like, drop my certain stuff in, I claim my beer cup, I go get my cider as is per usual, and then I'm just, like, sitting on a bench, and then Hannah's like, "I finished." I'm like, "What?" Uh Like, so I was like, "Oh, man," because I think I also hadn't really conceptualized how close to me you started because I was in C. I think C went out in 2. I mean, you would know, not me.
Yeah, 2, 'cause
Okay.
'cause they had the, athletes with wheels or,
Mm,
who have assisted devices, they start at the end of C,
okay.
and I was only, like I was in the first because they had the 2 sub corrals for D. I
Mhm.
was maybe the 2nd or 3rd wave of that first corral.
Okay.
So we were
Gotcha.
pretty close together when we started.
Yeah.
Probably only, like, 10 minutes, maybe? I don't know. Look, what does your run say? When did you cross the start line? When did you start your watch?
I believe I started my watch because I have a screenshot for this because I have lots of screenshots for things, that are important, like running. Um, I started at 5:07:17 AM.
I started at 5:17. So,
Okay,
yeah,
so
10
just yeah,
minutes.
nice. Yeah, I'm, like, settling in with my beer. Because I had to have been first wave of C then.
They were
Because
I
I
think the sub like, the splits were they were splitting up the waves a lot bigger than I had seen in previous races for this weekend.
yeah, because also I felt like they were going pretty quickly. Because there were times where I was, like, out on the highway and they were already doing the next 3, 2, 1, go, and I was like, "I don't feel like I'm far enough away." But also, I mean, I don't know, that was just anecdotal, of
Mhm.
course, because I don't know.
I mean, KG and I were walking, right? And we were the back of the wave, like, they cut the tape right behind us,
Mhm,
and, everyone runs away. So we're just
yeah,
kind of alone walking past spectators and stuff and out there's no one around us really. And then we only made it like, you go around the curve and we
mhm.
didn't even make it to where the first photo stop was at the 10K, and the other group was already running past us again.
Oh, wow.
So, like, we didn't make it very far.
They meant
Yes, they
business. Well,
did.
I mean, Our, like, estimate on how many people estimated number of bib numbers, this obviously doesn't account for if, like, they skipped 18,062, but was, like, 19,000 participants in the half.
Mhm.
So, I think everybody was out by, like, 6:10,
Mhm.
I think, based on when the balloons were finishing, but yeah, it was a big, big list of participants, which is awesome. It's great to see. I there were I think the bibs for the 5K went up to like 63,000. Um, the challenge bibs didn't start at which is interesting that they don't have like one or two anymore. They have like they started at 10,000, which was new this season.
Mhm.
But it's interesting because the challenge bit or the half bibs went into the 20,000s because we didn't talk about this because it was the week we left, so we were already recorded. But it was interesting to see such like big numbers again and awesome. I think finishers for the half were around 16,000.
Mhm.
I think just slightly underneath it,
Mhm.
but definitely cool to see like big numbers again.
Yeah.
Kind of feels like we're getting back to normal. And also, I had a long-standing theory that like part of their allotments for things actually did include the virtual packets that they were sending out.
Mhm.
I don't have enough concrete data for this, but it does feel like our fields are bigger this year.
Mhm.
Or is that more of it might just be more of a function of things just returning to normal, but I don't know. I think that there might be a slight there could be some correlation with that. TBD though. Obviously, and by TBD, I mean I'll never get a conclusive answer on that. It's just going to be on feel like, like analyzing the numbers, which I'm happy to do to the extent I can, but yeah, it was another magical weekend, and I probably spent the least amount of time I ever have in the post-race area
Yep. Well, we had somewhere
because
to be.
yes, we had to get out of our room. I had grand ideas that I was gonna do a load of laundry before, like, with my stinkies, but I didn't wanna cut it. I think I probably could have fit in, like, a quick wash. I didn't wanna cut it that close, though, so that was fine not doing
Yeah.
that.
We made it out with about 30 minutes to spare.
Yeah, which
So,
was pretty impressive, to be honest. Er I was impressed with us. Go team. But yeah, um got back and yeah, that is the end of our season together.
so what's next, Natalie?
Well, I said together for a reason. So, Chaos Dragon over here. Um, I got a bib for springtime surprise. I got a challenge bib for springtime surprise. I got the bib during Princess Weekend. So, I got the bib, on Wednesday, the 19th of February. I'm running for Team Force, which is a charity that, supports hereditary cancer and people, like, empowering you as you go if you know that it runs in your family like it does for me. So I have a reduced fundraising minimum, but I do have a fundraising page I will attach. I'll take out my Chicago one for a minute. I've already met my fundraising, so anything else is just gravy. But definitely, they were great to work with. The lady I was talking to was so fast, um, and I believe she still has bibs. I keep referring people her way because I mean, she was great to work with, and she still has some challenge bibs available. I think. Maybe I'll double check with her and edit this out if that's not the case. But so I'm like trying to like help her fill her quota. So because I know that they're getting pretty close to their deadlines for having to give the bibs back to Disney. So I just send me a message, send the podcast account a message, and I'll direct you her way. Hopefully she is sold out of her challenge bibs, but I am running the springtime surprise challenge. Um, yeah, that's I guess I manifested this from the beginning
We all knew it
of
was gonna come. It's not you're acting as if it's a surprise. It is not a surprise.
yes, it's the least surprising surprise ever. We all knew, I mean, even from the beginning of like, I can't commit to it right now, but if it happens, it happens. And it happened. Um, I think that there's some other charities I think that are still have. I think Give Kids the World has a reduced fundraising minimum, and for them, your bib cost counts. For this one, it didn't, but it was also a very reduced amount. So, definitely, if you feel like you got another dog in you and you want to be there for springtime surprise, definitely look into some of the charities online. Some of them, especially because the charity buys the bib from Disney,
Mhm.
as I believe KG explained to us. So the charity buys the bib, so it kind of helps offset their cost, and then anything that you are able to donate, yeah, definitely gonna keep on keeping on. I'll definitely throw a little bit more extra money that way because especially cancer is such a close cause to my heart,
Mhm.
and it's an important thing, and love to run with them again. So I'm excited. Surprise.
I have no words. I just yeah.
Yeah, I send Hannah a message. I send my mom a message. I was like, "So guess what I'm doing in April?"
Everyone already
Hannah
knew
got
the
it.
answer.
Yeah, Santa got it. Immediately she's like, "Running Springtime Spread." I'm like, "Sure am." So, I mean, we were preparing as if I was. So yeah,
No need to release that reservation into the wild.
no, I do not. I actually have to make a couple more dining ones because I didn't want to like I had mostly not kind of really done too many because I feel like my plans are a little looser. I mean, I haven't done springtime since 23, so but I feel like I'm way more, especially compared to marathon weekend, I'm
Mhm.
way more relaxed during springtime. But so yeah, in terms of me being a little cutesy and quiet when it's like, oh, further training and plans and races and stuff like that. That's why.
Mhm.
But yeah, I am coming on back. I have to now think of costumes. I am now part of a group 10K costume, which I'm excited for. I need to execute on some things. And yeah, here comes a perfect East Coast season.
Woo woo.
Actually did it.
I'm happy for you. Can't wait. You have to bring all your medals and have a capture the moment.
So, other people who were quick to the knowledge were my little Are We Dopey with Heidi, Samantha, and co. And they have a capture your moment booked on Sunday. Um, so my medals will all be returning with me, which uh
That's a little weight.
it is, but here's the thing. I feel pretty confident in saying that April in Florida, like we're probably not going to have too many issues with like it being too cool.
Mhm.
And I'm going to pack a little smarter because of the in-unit laundry because of course I found an amazing deal on a one bedroom at Saratoga there too. So, I'm going to be better about like literally packing like two or three pairs of shorts. Like I'm bad about shirts, okay, for the gram, like for the pictures. So, yeah, I am a little I'm excited, but I'm budgeting like suitcase space for aforementioned, things.
Mhm.
But yeah, it'll come up real quick, literally 30 days from now. So all that stuff about finding we'll see how it goes with
That was all technically true when said, but
it's still true. It's just that we like will see how it goes includes me.
Mhm.
It's not just the royal we. Surprise.
Yeah. So if you want to hear about the rest of our trip, all things not race related, what we did in the parks, what we ate for food, all of that jazz, catch up with us next week. If you enjoy listening to our show, please leave us a review and a 5-star rating. We love reading your reviews out loud. You might even be featured on a future podcast episode. We have a community spotlight on our Instagram at Stride Sisters Podcast. If you want to be featured for a Medal Monday, a Finish Line Friday, or any accomplishment you want to celebrate, send us a picture via our social media platforms or our email. And to continue the fun, join us on our Facebook page. All the ways to connect with us can be found in the show notes. Thanks for listening. Until our next adventure, we're wishing you endless miles of magic and memories. See you next time. Bam.
Boom. Good job, team.